Politics Graham. Thank you for coming in. I'm going to make this quick. I'm going to try to do. We're just going to see how this live is, okay? And today, first, I want to say Happy New Year's to everybody. My apologies for not coming in yesterday. It was just so chaotic yesterday. If you guys know what happened yesterday, is two mass incidents. Yes, one incident in New Orleans and the next incident in, yes, Las Vegas, Nevada. You cannot make this up. But before we begin, to cover myself, I'm going to read the quote-unquote fair use copyright disclaimer. Hey, Joshua! Hello, 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 hello. Joshua says, let me highlight you, Joshua. Joshua says first, hi, Politic. Hi, Joshua. And today we're going to discuss, yes, this madness that's been going on. But first, I have to read the fair use copyright disclaimer to cover myself. Fair use copyright disclaimer. Copyright disclaimer under section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, commenting, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Joshua says, I'm good. And look, Happy New Year, Joshua. Now, yes, it was a lot going on. Chaos. And today we're going to discuss just how chaotic it was. We're going to discuss, yes, as you can read what we see, New Orleans incident, the mass incident, a full breakdown on the suspect, okay, in regards to the New Orleans mass incident, the Cybertruck versus Las Vegas incident, and then also Donald Trump versus Joe Biden's response versus the authorities' response. And our motivational quote for today is keep moving, keep believing, but be careful how you treat people because you never know how you may need them in the future. That is the motivational quote for today. Now, moving forward. This crazy, well, let me be careful with my words. This wild incident that happened yesterday morning, and what you're looking at is how it looked in the French Quarter of New Orleans. You cannot make this up. And this happened yesterday morning, early in the morning, 3:15 a.m. on New Year's Day in New Orleans. And who did this madness? It was a gentleman, and we're going to talk about it. Okay, a gentleman by the name of Jabbar, okay? And he was 42 years old. Come to find out, according to the FBI authorities, come to find out he was 42 years old, an American veteran. According to reports, Jabbar was American-born citizen from Texas. And what did he do? I'm going to let it go in a little bit more. We're going to play some clips, play a few clips of just how chaotic this scene was, and just give a full breakdown on this gentleman that I'm going to show you. This gentleman right here. This gentleman. Going to give a full quote-unquote breakdown of this particular gentleman. Who is this gentleman that I'm showing you? This is the quote-unquote suspect that caused a huge incident in New Orleans at 3:15 a.m. in New Orleans of Louisiana. Very chaotic. Very, very chaotic. And my prayers goes out to the families and the communities. Right? And also we're going to discuss what happened in Las Vegas, Nevada. Hello, Laureen. Shout out to Laureen. Happy New Year's, Laureen. And Happy New Year's, Joshua. We're going to discuss how chaos this was. Okay? Now, I'm going to give it some time and play a clip or two. Okay? Now, according to reports, this suspect that is no longer here, OG Brand, hey, OG Brand says, politic, hey, you silly rabbit, did you get the Snaps Kiwi drink yet? Shout out to OG Brand. I need to have something. I need to have some health, okay? And Happy New Year's to you, OG Brand. Thank you guys for coming in. Now, the suspect that we're talking about is this American-born veteran by the name of Samshuddin Jabbar. What a name. And according to reports, he drove a white Ford rental truck that had a flag of what appeared to be an ISIS flag located on the back end of a rental F-150 electric truck. You cannot make this up. And in regards to this suspect, I'm just going to show you guys, and you tell me, and this is why I tell people, you cannot judge a book by its cover. Okay? You cannot judge a book by its cover. Because this incident happened, a lot of people, thought that he was an immigrant, an undocumented immigrant to be exact. And come to find out, he was not an undocumented immigrant. That's why they say you cannot, quote unquote, judge a book by its cover. And when it comes down to this particular suspect that I'm talking about, it is this gentleman. I'm going to play a clip. And thank you guys for coming in. I'm going to play a clip of this gentleman. This gentleman right here. Okay? And thank you guys for coming in. The gentleman that you're looking at is the quote-unquote suspect that is no longer here. I repeat, he's no longer here. Now, when it comes down to OG Brand says, nice view. I like to eat apples. OG Brand says, politic, no problem. Can you rock with me to sleep? And thank you so much for coming in, OG Brand. And ladies and gentlemen, please hit that like button. And yes, we are talking about this gentleman right here. And this is the suspect that caused a complete mayhem. Yes, mayhem. New Year's Day at 3:15 a.m. And according to reports, he drove a white F-150 rental truck that caused not one, not two, not three, not four, but 15 people to no longer be here and 35 others to be injured. And of those 35 others to be injured, 3 of them were police officers. Yes, 3 of them were police officers. And after this madness transpired, basically what happened, he was driving the truck, okay, and he actually drove his vehicle past police vehicles that was blocking an area where the street was crowded. He drove it onto the sidewalk, drove his vehicle onto the sidewalk. And that is when he went through an entire quote unquote crowd. Okay? And that is how he ended up causing 15 people to no longer be here and 35 others to be injured. Okay? And thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. And after that, he ends up getting out of his Ford truck. Okay, and he started to exchange between law enforcement. And when he exchanged between law enforcement, that is, according to reports, 2 officers got injured. But some reports said it was 2, others said it was 3. However, these officers are in stable condition. And this incident occurred on Bourbon Street in New Orleans. Okay? Now, I want the reason, yes, hello, Carly. Thank you for coming in. Carly says, that was so sad. And yes, my prayers goes out to the families out there. It really, really was. And I keep telling people that, mental health is real. People have to have this, deal with what is going on here, because that is not only what happened. But before we get into more depth of just what happened all yesterday on New Year's Day, and Happy New Year, ladies and gentlemen, okay, I just want you guys to really sit back and think. When it comes down to this gentleman that you're looking at, this is a video. Yes, makes you wonder who or what is next. Yes, absolutely, Carly. I completely agree, Carly. It makes you wonder, because you guys have to really understand, you can't judge a book by its cover, because this gentleman that you're looking at, he is a quote unquote an American citizen, was an American born citizen from Texas. Also, he did his service for the military. So he is was a veteran. And even in this incident that transpired on Bourbon Street in New Orleans at 3:15 a.m. yesterday on New Year's Day, in the morning time, he wore a quote unquote full military, yes, full military suit at the time, camouflage, head to toe. Okay? And thank you guys for coming in. Yes, somebody in the comments says, oh my goodness. And thank you for coming in. Now, I'm going to play a clip of this gentleman. This is a video of him when he was actually the property manager of a particular company that he was working for. But because this incident happened, this video was quote unquote pulled by YouTube. Okay, it was quote unquote pulled from the main account. I'm presuming because the FBI and investigators are doing an investigation on this whole matter, and that includes, okay, investigating all of his quote unquote social media platforms. And thank you guys for coming in. We're going to play a quick clip of this individual that you're looking at, and the individual that you're looking at is quote unquote the suspect that did what he did in New Orleans, and his name was quote unquote Samshud Din Jabbar. And thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. Jenkins says America will be great again. Absolutely. And I'm going to pin that, Jenkins. Shout out to Jenkins. And also, shout out to Carly. Carly stated, you would never guess. You're absolutely right. Jenkins says, let's get away from Diddy National Convention. And I want to make sure I pin what Carly said first. Okay, because you're absolutely right, Carly. You would never guess. And I want to play this quick little clip of this particular suspect. Okay, this is a clip of him, and we're going to give a full breakdown of, just the background about this gentleman, because we have to wonder, can you identify somebody in society? Can you decipher them in a crowd or in public? Can you decipher, okay, is this person dangerous, right? Because if you tell me, I'm looking at him, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't even assume that he would even have in the thought of his mind of the actions that he did on New Year's Day. Okay? Outside looking in, I would have never thought. And John in the comment says, thanks for the update and information. Thank you, John, for coming in. And thank you guys. Please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. And we're going to play this video. Let's go.
And with Blue Metal Properties and team lead at the Midas Group at Core Realty. I just want to say hello and let you know a little bit about me. So I'm born and raised in Beaumont, Texas, and now live in Houston. And I've been here all my life, with the exception of traveling for the military, where I spent 10 years as a human resources specialist and IT specialist, where I learned the meaning of great service and what it means to be responsive and take everything seriously, dotting I's and crossing T's to make sure that things go off without a hitch. So I've taken those skills and applied them to my career as a real estate agent, where I feel like what really sets me apart from other agents is my ability to be able to, one, be a fierce negotiator.
Now, I want to freeze it there for a minute because in this video it says a lot, and a lot of people don't know just how much of levels to this particular video is, right? Because with this video he was going through a lot behind the scenes, okay? And that's what we're going to get into. John says he's a shadow puppet. Look at the wall behind him. Uh-oh. John, uh-oh. You look. Okay. Oh, James said that. Shout out to James. James said he's a shadow puppet. Look at the wall behind him. Woo. Now, see, this is what I want people to understand. Like, you really can't judge a book by its cover. And thank you guys for coming in. And the video that you're looking at, this is an actual video of the suspect where he was actually in a property manager when it came down to real estate. Yes. And we're going to break this video down, okay, because he had a lot going on the back end. Now, when it came down to what transpired yesterday on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, he caused 15 people to no longer be here, as well as 35 others to be injured. Now, did he act alone? That is the question, and still in the question of the day. And I want people to think about that, because when they first held the press conference, right, FBI agents in Louisiana, in New Orleans, had first stated that they believed that he did not act alone. And then they later on reported that the individuals that they thought were in this with this suspect, they thought it was him as well as 3 men and a woman. But when they looked at surveillance cameras on Bourbon Street and in the around areas of Bourbon Street, that's when they took back their statement. Okay, they took back their statement and said that they're not sure. They have to do more investigation. But from now, it doesn't appear that he had anybody else acting along with him. Vic, hello, Vic. Vic says, and I quote, "We will probably never know the real story." And that's why I want to make sure I kind of give a breakdown on it, Vic, because, you know, like I where I live in Georgia, and come to find out he does have connections here in Georgia. So much to the point where his connection is with one of his wives, because he was divorced twice. So he does have quote unquote connection. And good morning, Vic. Shout out to Vic. And shout out to Jersey, New Jersey, France and New Jersey. Shout out to New Jersey. Now, when it comes down to the FBI, I want to make people understand that with this particular gentleman, they were not sure they thought he didn't act alone. Then they took it back. Then they said, well, we don't know. Right? We don't know. And also, I want people to understand, moving on, this suspect specifically, while doing this, he had devices on him. Yes, he had a number of devices on him. And 2 of those devices were actually found around Bourbon Street. Okay, so this appeared to have been planned out. Yes, quote unquote, planned out. Right? Now, this suspect, Jabbar, specifically had devices in an ice chest inside of his truck during the incident that they later found. Okay, and 2 of the devices were found around Bourbon Street. They had to disarm. Yes, it was on that level, disarm. Keyword, disarm. And FBI confirmed he had quote unquote possession of the ISIS, I don't want to say it, flag. In addition to quote unquote other devices. I'll say it that way. Now, during a quote unquote, I want to make sure I show, there was press conference where the FBI had initially, they're just, I guess they were just going through everything, trying to figure out, maybe he didn't act alone, maybe he did act alone, right? And during that press conference, they gave a license tag, okay, a Texas license tag, and then they came back to confirm that license tag was attached to the truck that was a rental. Come to find out, it was a rental truck. Where was this rental truck connected to? Texas. Going back to Texas. And if you guys can remember what this gentleman said in this video, we're going to play it again a little bit. And thank you guys for coming in.
Me. So I'm born and raised in properties and team lead at the Midas Group at Core Realty. I just want to say hello and let you know a little bit about me. So I'm born and raised in Beaumont, Texas, and now live in Houston. And I've been here all my life, with the exception of traveling for the military, where I spent 10 years as a human resources specialist and IT specialist, where I learned the meaning of great service and what it means to be responsive and take everything seriously, dotting I's and crossing T's to make sure that things go off without a hitch. So I've taken those skills and applied them to my career as a real estate agent, where I feel like what really sets me apart from other agents is my ability to be able to, one, be a fierce negotiator. So not only do I brilliantly market your property to make sure it gets sold as quickly as possible or gets leased as quickly as possible.
Now, shout out to Northern Dame. Shout out to Northern Dame. Northern Dame says, wow, you jumped on early. Yes, I did. Yes, I did, Northern Dame. And thank you guys for coming in. The person that you're looking at is the quote-unquote suspect that is no longer here. He was quote-unquote, let's just say he's not here because law enforcement saved the day. Okay, saved the day yesterday morning, New Year's Day. You cannot make this up. You cannot make this up, ladies and gentlemen. Right? And this particular quote unquote gentleman caused a complete chaos. Complete chaos. And thank you guys for coming in. Thank you so much for coming in. Now, when it comes down to the gentleman that I'm talking about, Vic says the bullet barriers were broken. Now, Vic, I did think about that, right? I did think about that. Those quote unquote barriers that should have been there, right? Because now look what everybody's doing. Look what everybody's doing. As you can see right here, this was a press conference that they had yesterday. And this lady right here, she's the mayor. Okay, she's the mayor of quote unquote New Orleans. This gentleman back here, he is the Republican senator by the name of John Kennedy. We're going to talk about Mr. John Kennedy. John Kennedy said he is really pissed. Okay, very upset, as they say. Excuse my language. Very upset. You can see his arms are crossed, and he looked like he's like, they better be glad the suspect is not here today, because I would do some strange things to that suspect, okay? Kennedy is not playing. Yes, Vic. Kennedy, the gentleman that we're talking about, is right here. This is the senator. Yes, Republican Senator John Kennedy was not playing no games at this press conference, as well as other interviews that he did yesterday from the incident that happened in New Orleans on Bourbon Street at 3:15 a.m. Was not playing no games. And the gentleman we're talking about this gentleman right here. Right? We're talking about this gentleman right here. Thank you guys for coming in. This is the suspect that is no longer here. Okay, I will say it that way. And thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. James says he's the only one with the Louisiana accent. Wait a minute now, James. Hold up now. It's one more person that has that accent as well. What about that governor? What about that Governor Landry? Governor Landry, this gentleman right here, he has an accent too. We'll play it. We'll play it. And thank you guys for coming in. Now, when it comes down to this suspect, I'm just going to give a little background about him. Okay, background is his faith, I don't know if it was Muslim from his earlier years as a childhood, but I think it was some factors that came into effect after he was honorably discharged out of the military, right? And the reason I say that, I'm gonna show some clips of how he looked while he was in the military. I'm gonna give a little bit of background. And with this particular incident, okay, he actually ran through a crowd. I'll say it that way, ran through a crowd that caused 15 people to no longer be here and 35 others to be injured. Okay, and thank you guys for coming in, and for quote unquote YouTube reasons, I have to be very careful of what pictures I show, but this is a picture of the aftermath, as they say, as the quote unquote aftermath. And thank you for coming in. I want to be able to show it to you guys. This particular that you're looking at up right here, this was the actual Ford F-150 electric truck that Mr. quote unquote Jabbar actually rented from Texas. So he rented this truck out, okay, from a company called Turo. Okay, he rented this truck out. This truck right here, $67 a day, according to reports. Right, this truck out, and in addition to renting this truck out, we gotta break it down even more. Okay. Not only did he rent this quote unquote truck out, and this is what FBI agents are trying to do, thorough quote unquote investigation. And shout out to Easy Peasy. Easy Peasy says, hello, Easy Peasy. Now, FBI, I think when it comes down to Senator John Kennedy, this gentleman right here right here, with his arm crossed, he is very upset. And with John Kennedy, I want to make sure I quote exactly what he stated in an actual interview. He said, quote unquote, saddle up and ride. He said he wants the FBI to saddle up and ride, right? The reason he said that is he does not want the FBI and the federals to have any excuses moving forward. He don't want them to make up any excuses, because he was upset. And in this particular actual press conference yesterday, he stated he knew more than what the FBI was quote unquote trying to tell us. That's why he was very upset, okay? Because he knew a lot more than what they was telling the quote unquote federal investigation, okay? Federal Bureau investigation. He knew more, and he was wondering why the FBI has not said anything. Okay, and thank you guys for commenting. Yes, absolutely. Easy Peasy says, what's with the Tesla? And see, we're gonna get into it. Yes, we have to talk about it, because Elon Musk, he says, you guys are not gonna put my name in this. You guys are not gonna put my Cybertruck in this. Okay, he said, not today. Now, when it comes down to, and let me pin that what Easy Peasy said. Well, I don't know if I can pin it, because you put the other part in. When it comes down to the Tesla that Easy Peasy is speaking of, okay, there was another incident that happened yesterday in Las Vegas, Nevada, right? And that is why I titled the thumbnail, when it comes down to Trump, right? Because people have to kind of sit back, like, why for one, the truck, this truck right here, I'm going to show you guys again, this particular truck right here that was used in the quote unquote scene crime in New Orleans, this truck right here, this truck was rented out under a rental company called Turo. Now, the Cybertruck, the Tesla that Easy Peasy is mentioning in the chat, that Cybertruck was also a rental under the rental company of Turo. Okay, so that is why the FBI, here they go, they want to step in. And this is, I promise you, this is some of the reason this gentleman right here, thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. This gentleman right here, he is just upset, okay? To say it in the most friendliest way, right? Upset so much to the point he had his arms crossed, okay? Very upset. And thank you guys for coming in. Now, when it comes down to, I'm going to play a little bit. I'm just trying to let some time go in for YouTube purposes. But we're going to play some clips within this press conference. And in this press conference that was given yesterday, there was some inconsistencies. And I really feel that is why, another reason why he was upset. Because in this particular press conference, the FBI, they said one thing and then said another. Northern Dame says that wasn't, appears to be unrelated. The Herbal Goddess says, what happened in Vegas? Northern Dame says the vehicle that popped at the Trump Tower was rented from Turo Rental Cars. Yes, Northern Dame. Shout out to Northern Dame. Shout out to Northern Dame. Oh, and Northern Dame, you said, so you're stating the same thing that I'm saying as far as not, it was related? Because you're saying not unrelated. So yes, it was related, the two incidents. Okay, allegedly, because FBI, here they go. FBI, they want to sit there and say, including Joe Biden. He had a press conference too yesterday. And FBI is basically told Joe Biden that they have not confirmed a connection to those incidents that were held on the same day. One in quote unquote New Orleans, Louisiana, New Orleans, and then the other in quote unquote Las Vegas, Nevada, in front of Donald Trump's hotel. Now, I want people to understand this. Me personally, outside looking in, I'll tell you what I think. But I want you guys to also think about this. Louisiana is the same state that House of Representative Mike Johnson, okay, who's the head, okay, of he's the House of Representative Speaker. I'll say it that way, okay, and he is in Louisiana. You don't think that's a little bit odd, okay? They try to quote unquote, this transpires in the same state where the head of House of Representatives Speaker, okay, is Mike Johnson. That is his state, okay? So you don't think that's a little odd? Look, that's just me, right? And Mr. Newman says, great question. Shout out to, and let's see who was the one mentioned that in the chat. Okay, when it came, Vic, I think you mentioned that, Vic, in the chat, because shout out to Vic, because Mr. Newman said, and I quote, great question here. Why remove street barriers before a New Year's event? I gotta pin it. I have to pin it. Vic Morrison says they were not functioning. See, this is why the Senator John Kennedy has that look on his face. Look, hey, we're going to call it for what it is, okay? It is what it is. And thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. Thank you so much. Now, when it comes down to this particular suspect, okay, Jabbar, did he act alone? FBI, they're stating, first they said he wasn't acting alone. Then they said they're not sure. Because upon the initial press conference, this press conference that you're looking at, and I think it's about that time we can play a little bit of it. Okay, and thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button.
The subject has been identified.
Now, this lady right here, she is the representative. She's with FBI. She was the one that came to this press conference to give the FBI's what they had, their investigation, right? Okay. Now, I'm going to play what the FBI had stated, okay? In the meeting. Let's just say it that way in the beginning. And thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. Want to be very careful where I place my quote unquote. Let me make sure I'm hitting my notes. Please hit that like button. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And making sure. Okay, here we go.
As 42-year-old Samsud Din Jabbar, a U.S.-born citizen from Texas. He was driving. The subject has been identified as 42-year-old Samsud Din Jabbar, a U.S.-born citizen from Texas. He was driving a Ford pickup truck, which appears to be rented, and we are working to confirm how the subject came in possession of this vehicle.
Now, with this particular press conference, I found out some more information, okay? I found out some more information. And just look, watch this, you guys. Look at Senator John Kennedy. Look at Senator John Kennedy. I'm telling you, this John Kennedy's not playing. John Kennedy is not playing, okay? But we have to be very honest. This is his state. Like, you know, this is his home. This is like how if somebody were to come into your home and disrespect it. I don't blame him, not for one bit, right? So, of course, he's going to be very frustrated. And thank you guys for coming in. The next clip of this particular press conference, what you heard just now, she did confirm that the suspect name, he was a 42-year-old, quote unquote, okay, Jabbar, right? And she did confirm, I want to make sure I take it back for you guys. She did, quote unquote, confirm that he did go through the crowd with a vehicle, and now what we know was a F-150 Ford truck. And on the back of that F-150 Ford truck, on the trailer, the back hitch of that F-150 Ford truck was a flag that was attached to the end of a pole. Okay, that was a flag. What was it? ISIS. Okay, and thank you guys for coming in. Okay, and in this press conference, this particular person that is representative of the FBI during this press conference, she did mention there were two quote unquote devices that were disarmed. Okay, yes, disarmed, that they found also along Bourbon Street, as well as other devices were found within the vehicle of this suspect. Yes, you heard me right. Other devices. You cannot make this up. And thank you guys for coming in. And Justin says it's the city girl mayor. No, this is not the mayor. This is the FBI. This is an FBI representative that came, okay, to the press conference. And I'm going to continue and skip a little bit, okay, for YouTube purposes, for my page anyway, YouTube purposes, fair use. Now, thank you so much for coming in.
We're aggressively running down all of the leads to identify the possible subject's associates. We're working to ensure that there is no further threat. We do not believe that Jabbar was solely responsible.
Now, that is a lie. That is a lie. Hello, Red Room. Shout out to Red Rooms. Now, what she said, what she just said, she said, and let me correct myself. Let me not call anybody a liar. Right? Let me not call anybody a liar. And morning, James. Shout out to Rick James. Now, when it comes down to what she just stated, and I quote, I want to make sure you guys hear what she just said. Okay? I'm going to play that little part one more time.
We're aggressively running down all of the leads to identify the possible subject's associates. We're working to ensure that there is no further threat. We do not believe that Jabbar was solely responsible. We're aggressively running down every lead, including those of his known associates. That's why we need the public's help. We are asking if anybody has any interactions with Samsud Din Jabbar in the last 72 hours, that you contact us. The FBI is asking the public's help. We're asking anyone who has information, video, or pictures to provide it to the FBI. We have set up a digital tip line as well as our 1-800 number, 1-800-CALL-FBI.
Now, here we go. Here we go again, you guys. And Greg, you are absolutely right. Greg in the comments says, more like by himself. Let me pin that. Shout out to Greg. And the Ranger says, I will not say anything today. People were screaming. Narendra. Shout out to Narendra. Now, I want people to understand. Shout out to Greg Wright as well, because this particular press conference was really just wild, kind of just chaos. To me, it was chaos. And look at, I promise you guys, look at Senator John Kennedy as this lady is talking. You cannot make this up, people. You cannot make this up, right? And I'm thinking about playing a clip of Senator John Kennedy, okay, because he was not holding back yesterday. He wanted to make sure that people knew, okay? He wanted to make sure that people knew that he was not finna allow the federal, quote-unquote, FBI, okay, and governmental federal officials to have let anything slide, okay? He was not about to let anything slide. Rugg says, not by himself at all. Who placed the device? They would know if it was him. Vic says, it's a press opportunity. Guys, hit the like button, yes. Narendra says, guys, hit the like button and subscribe. And shout out to everybody that's coming in. Please hit that like button. Now, going back into this particular topic that we're going to discuss. Okay, the gentleman that we're talking about is this gentleman, right? We're talking about this particular gentleman. This gentleman that you see, he did not look like that when he, quote unquote, did the actions that he did on New Year's Day at 3:15 a.m. that caused 15 people to no longer be here and 35 others to be injured. Okay, and thank you guys for coming in, right? And come to find out, because at first they thought that he lived in New Orleans. But I'm going to show that when daylight broke, this particular home in New Orleans, okay, was, quote unquote, want to show it to you guys, and this is fair use. Come to find out, it appears that the suspect traveled from Texas in a rental truck, that truck that he used, that F-150 truck that he used, and he was living in an Airbnb. And this particular Airbnb that I'm going to show you guys, it was heavily surrounded by law enforcement. And when law enforcement came yesterday to this particular Airbnb off of St. Roch area in New Orleans, they basically forced everyone to evacuate from this particular Airbnb. And this Airbnb is a pink house. You cannot make this up. I want to make it bigger for you guys to see the house. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger for you guys before I show it. This is the quote unquote Airbnb. This pink house, right? This pink house was surrounded by law enforcement, FBI, fire department. Everybody came to this house and pulled everybody out of this Airbnb, told them to evacuate. Why? Okay, it is allegedly until FBI confirms and does a thorough investigation on this, but a person, okay, that lives across the street from this Airbnb, they took pictures and they showed, quote unquote, how it was surrounded by, quote unquote, heavy law enforcement, a pink house, okay? And the ranger says, guys, please, no conspiracy theories today. Reading into the comments, thank you guys for coming in. Thank you so much for coming in. Now, back to when it comes down to the barriers. Okay. Now, I would say this. Now, Vic, look, Vic and Mr. I want to make sure it was Vic had first spoke on it. Shout out to Vic. Want to make sure I keep up with the comments today. I'm not going to get lost today. No. And thank you guys for hitting that like button. Please hit the like button some more. I want to say it was another person in the comments that stated, Mr. Newman, okay, asked why did they remove the barriers, and then Vic says that the barriers were not working. They were broke. Greg White says, did you know the reporter got to the house an hour before the FBI? Greg, are you serious, Greg? Wait a minute. So Greg, shout out to Greg. Greg stated that this particular Airbnb house, Greg in the comments says, did you know a reporter got to the house an hour before the FBI? Are you serious? See, this is why. Now I'm like, whoa, right? Northern Dame says, which they did. Why is it, or how is it a reporter was able to get to this Airbnb house ahead of the FBI? Does this sound a little bit familiar, you guys? Just tell me, right? Because this is the same scenario that happened in New York. I promise you, this is the same. And what I mean when I say the same scenario, it wasn't the FBI, okay, and the authorities that found the CEO suspect, Luigi Mangione. It was a customer and an employee at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania, that they were the ones that called the authorities to let them know where the CEO suspect was sitting down eating a hash brown, right? So how is it, even in this, shout out to Greg Wright, okay? Shout out to Greg Wright, and shout out to Northern Dame, okay? Here we go again in New Orleans. An actual reporter, okay, came to this house an hour before the FBI and authorities came to evacuate it. Allegedly, look, I gotta say allegedly, guys. Look, allegedly. But the house you're looking at, it was evacuated. It was surrounded by law enforcement, right? It was surrounded by law enforcement. And shout out to Brand. Thank you so much for coming in, Brand. Shout out to Brand. Narendra says, Vic, I am sorry to say this, but this is the new normal. Yes, it is. I mean, it is just so much going on today. And should I say, and that's what I want to talk about. Look at all what has been going on, right? Within the matter of a little over since December. Like a lot has been going on. Tisha, thank you so much. Welcome back, Tisha. Tisha says they got tipped off, just like Trump's raid. Oh, you know they are playing anytime they call the news first. And see, this is what I want people to understand. Like, think about, just look at the whole spectrum, because it really is making me wonder about, and look, I want to be fair. I want to continue to state the facts, but I gotta give the mod squad and the people in the chat much love and much applause, because they are stating their opinions, and you know, some are facts, right? And thank you guys for coming in. Now, when it comes down to this, gentlemen, and Happy New Year, Angel in the comments says Happy New Year, y'all. And Vic says always been there. Now, Tisha, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because when it comes down to Trump, especially Elon. Elon said he had time for people yesterday because he said people were trying to insinuate that his Cybertruck was defective. Okay, but we'll talk about that. What happened? How does Elon Musk's Cybertruck, okay, plays a factor in this FBI investigation? Okay. Now, when it comes down to this gentleman that you're looking at, this is the suspect of what transpired yesterday, 3:15 a.m. in the morning, when he went through a crowd off of Bourbon Street. His background is, we're going to give a background, and just I want to speak on that as far as the background. Just how do we know, some things? Let's say it that way, some things. And could it have been avoided, as they say? Could it have been completely avoided? And the reason I want to say that is because he was a quote-unquote American veteran. Okay? Quote-unquote American veteran. Born, American U.S. born veteran. Now, when it comes down to him, his former job was a property manager. He's been married twice, and according to reports, he has multiple kids, but I read one report said he had 3 kids, but we're going to say multiple kids for now. And when it comes down to this when it comes down to this New Orleans suspect, Jabbar, his first wife sued him for child support payments back in 2012, according to court records. And in 2020, he gets married again to a second wife that filed I'm going to highlight it. I got to highlight it. I don't know if you guys heard about this, but she filed a quote-unquote restraining order against him. Yes, his second wife filed a restraining order against him. So we have to look at some things, some things. And thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. And according to this quote-unquote restraining order, okay, the order barred both parties from intentionally, knowingly, or recklessly causing bodily injury to each other or to a child of either party, or threatening each other. Now, what does that sound like? And I'm going to show it to you guys so you guys don't think it's just me just talking. So you guys don't think it's just me just talking. And thank you guys for coming in. Okay, so what you're looking at, this is just notes as far as an actual restraining order. Now, for what I researched, I was trying to figure out, was this in regards to his wife that he divorced here in Georgia? Because he did go through 2 divorces, one in 2012 and one in 2020. Okay? Should I say 2021? And in regards to this, they were both granted, the second wife, both granted quote-unquote custody of their child. Okay? In 2022. You cannot make this up. But when it comes down to this suspect, this gentleman right here, and this is why I was playing this particular clip, because with this particular clip, this was in the 2021, I want to say. But this was around the time he was going through a lot of financial issues. Okay? This was during the time he was going through a lot. And he actually did a video. This is a video that he did, but because FBI is investigating everything, a lot of his social media platforms had to be pulled. But I end up getting it, okay? So, I end up getting it. When it comes down to this particular gentleman, the suspect, yes, The herbal goddess. Look, you said it. You hit the mark. You hit the mark. Shout out to the herbal goddess in the chat. Ronald says this looks like. And Lauren says, "Go girl, thank you so much." Ronald, can I please give me a chance? Give me a chance, Ronald. Everything that you see, I have worked. I have did my research, right? I have did my research, and shout out to quote unquote Lauren. Thank you for coming in, and please hit that like button, you guys. When it comes down to this quote unquote suspect, Jabbar, as I just told you, he had gone through 2 divorces. And according to reports, right? According to reports, he had a lot of financial issues, as well as the herbal goddess, you said it, okay? Because he had a restraining order against him. Now, when it comes down to debt that he owed, 2020-22, during his second divorce, okay? According to New York Times, he owed more than $16,000 in credit card debt because of paying court fees and expenses for a second home. This is pertaining to his divorce, his second divorce. 2021, a year prior to his second divorce, he suffered $28,000 loss in his real estate business. Why am I speaking on that? Greg in the comments says, Greg. I'm going to just say blank, blank, and blank are really good at spotting vulnerable people. And guys, if you guys can see what I'm talking about, please look. You have to look. And Red Rooms, I know you're listening. Look, all I'm going to say, Red Rooms, if you're driving or anybody is driving and cannot read the comments, I'm just going to spell it out. I'm going to spell it out. Okay? Red Room. Okay, I'm going to spell it out for you, Red Rooms. Greg says ISIS and TALIBAN are really good at spotting vulnerable people and using them. This is what they do. Shout out to Greg. Shout out to Greg. Because as I just stated to you guys, with this particular suspect we're talking about, he is an American citizen. However, I got to give it to Greg. He was vulnerable. Why? Because I just told you guys. He had already went through 2 divorces, lost a lot of money, all right? A lot of money. $16,000 a credit card debt in 2022. Then another $28,000, okay, in his own real estate business. Okay? It suffered. Now, I have to take a deep breath on this, because when it came down to his background here in Georgia, where I am, okay, he does have quote unquote Georgia connection. He went to Georgia State University from the year of 2015 to 2017 and graduated. You cannot make this up. Graduated with a bachelor's degree in computer information system. Now, I'm going to show an article, just a little glance of this article. Okay. And this is fair use. This article, the reason I'm just showing a little clip of this article, he spoke about how veterans, go through difficult times as far as receiving benefits by the quote unquote government. Okay. When it comes down to the GI Bill, when it comes down to receiving, assistance, among other things pertaining to veterans. Okay. And he also spoke about quote unquote how a lot of veterans, once they go into the civilian world, they're not able to use the correct how can I say it? Speak citizen language, okay? Citizen language. So he basically in this article was discussing some difficulties that veterans go through, right? And the reason I wanted to speak on that is because if you guys can remember the live that I did before, I did speak about what healthcare insurance, especially for the quote unquote veterans. Okay, I did speak about it. I did speak about how mental health and other things are overlooked. Okay, I did speak about it, and I'm just going to show a little glance. I'm not going to get too much in depth, but I did speak about how I showed it to you guys how the U.S. government needs to have quote unquote more accountability when it comes down to veterans, okay, assisting veterans, because you're going to continue to have people such as this get out of the military, right? And they're not able to deal with quote unquote civilian life. And shout out to Greg. Greg said it best. You know, when people, they feed off of the weak, okay? And certain entities feed off of the weak, right? And with this quote unquote suspect that you're looking at, who's no longer here, Jabbar, who committed that heinous crime in New Orleans off of Bourbon Street, right? Yesterday in New Orleans on New Year's Day at 3:15 a.m. Okay, he had already gone through 2 divorces. Okay, financially, I mean, his finances were all over the place. And even in this article, when he attended Georgia State University, okay, he expressed how veterans have difficulties receiving benefits from the quote unquote from the government. He expressed that in an actual article. And like I just stated to you guys, I did speak about this. And thank you guys for coming in. Yes, he is an American. Shout out to Fonzie. Fonzie in the chat says, is he American? Greg says yes. Yes, he is an American. And a lot of people was wondering the same thing. That's a good question, right? That is a good question. Because look at his name, you do have people that, those quote unquote stereotypes go out there. Why is his name that? Why is his name this way? Why does he look that way? Right? In fact, even one of the victims from yesterday's incident, okay, a family member, she hinted on what Donald Trump put out I gotta call it out for what it is. Donald Trump put out a statement at first, but he corrected himself a little bit. He corrected himself. But initially, when this incident took place, Donald Trump stated, and I'm gonna make sure I show it for you guys so you guys don't say I'm just making this up. This is from Donald Trump's actual quote unquote truth social account. And his response to the incident that happened yesterday was, when I said that the criminals coming in are far worse than the criminals we have in our country, that statement was constantly refuted by Democrats and fake news media, but it turned out to be true. The crime rate in our country is at a level that nobody has ever seen before. Now, this is a comment that quote unquote Donald Trump put out on the Truth Social account of his, right? This is what he put out. But just like I told you guys, right? Okay, because the Democrats, they came at him, including I'm gonna just say the Democrats. I don't want to get into no names of specific Democrats that came at Donald Trump yesterday. Okay. I don't want to do it. Don't get me. Don't get me. Just hit the like button. Don't get me. Now, when it comes down to the quote unquote Donald Trump, the 47 elected President Donald Trump, he did state that, insinuated that the suspect was a quote-unquote undocumented immigrant. But as you guys can see from what I just showed you, that is not necessarily the case per se, because he is from, and I'm going to play, so don't take my word for it. Look, do not take my word for it. I'm going to play from the press conference by the FBI representative herself, this lady right here. She stated, identified Jabbar in the press conference yesterday. And thank you guys for coming in. We're going to play a clip.
The subject has been identified as 42-year-old Samsud Dim Jabbar, a U.S.-born citizen from Texas. He was driving a Ford pickup truck, which appears to be rented, and we are...
Now notice what she said about him. Okay, so that does contradict that statement that 47 President Donald Trump had said. I'm trying to write it down. I'm sorry, you guys. That does contradict, right, what he said, because he put out there initially, that the suspect was not from America, but it is confirmed. And look, take it with a grain of salt, ladies and gentlemen, by the FBI, because as you guys can see, the senator is really giving this lady the side eye. Senator John Kennedy, he's giving her the side eye. You cannot make this up. I'm going to replay this part one more time for you guys, and thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button.
The subject has been identified as 42-year-old Samsud Dim Jabbar, a U.S.-born citizen from Texas. He was driving a Ford pickup truck, which appears to be rented, and we are working to confirm how the subject became in possession of this vehicle.
Now, I have to go, Mr. Kennedy. I'm trying to see if I should go ahead and show just how furious Mr. Kennedy was, okay? Just how furious he was. I'm going to play a clip, okay, of Mr. quote-unquote Kennedy. And this is fair use. Okay? And thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. Now, this was him also yesterday. You can't make it up. You cannot make this up, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to play a clip. Let's see here. And he's basically explaining how much he's going to give the FBI, okay? He's going to give them a chance, okay? He's going to give them a chance, but his patience is not there, okay? His patience is not there. And you're going to see why I say his patience is not really there. But he says him, as well as the local authorities and other authorities, they are cooperating with the FBI, the federal government, okay, as well as the White House and Justice, Homeland Security, giving them a full quote-unquote, okay, opportunity to investigate a reasonable amount of time.
I want to give them a reasonable period of time. There's a lot of information out there. Some of it is actually true. I want to give them a reasonable period of time. But they need to saddle up and ride. We need to find out what happened here, and it's not going to be covered up. We're going to tell the American people exactly what happened.
Now, fair use. Thank you guys for coming in. And the gentleman that you just saw, that was quote-unquote this gentleman. This gentleman, his name is John Kennedy. He is the senator, okay? He is the senator in Louisiana, okay? And he did say, we're going to saddle up, okay? And he is speaking about the incident that happened yesterday by the gentleman named Jabbar, okay? And if you guys can know, I just showed you guys he did have a background as far as quote unquote finances, bad finances, right? And also stated to confirm that the FBI, this lady right here at the podium, she stated in the press conference yesterday that he was an actual born American citizen. For those who are still questioning whether or not he's documented, undocumented, is he what? Yes, he is a documented citizen. He is a born U.S. citizen. And come to find out, he is of Muslim faith. And also, he did graduate from Georgia State University in Georgia. From the year of 2015 and 2017, he was able to get his bachelor's degree within 2 years. And the bachelor's degree that he had obtained was a computer information system bachelor's degree, okay? Now it gets a little wild when it comes down to just where he lived. According to authorities, they are stating that he lived at a number of addresses, okay? And I wanted to specifically show the connection with Georgia because, yes, he did go to school to Georgia. He did go to school at Georgia State University. He did matriculate from Georgia State University as well as reside, okay, outside of Metro Atlanta, Georgia, okay? He lived in the metropolitan area of Atlanta, Georgia. And according to reports, one of his 2 wives, okay, he got a divorce. One of his 2 wives had to file a restraining order, like I stated earlier in the live. Okay? And thank you guys for coming in. Now we finna get to his military background. And yes, you cannot make this up, ladies and gentlemen. Please hit that like button. Thank you guys for coming in. Ronald says, the stuff is probably I can't say the rest. The guy's life was just spiraling. You're absolutely right. Ronald says this suspect's life was spiraling and is trying to show fear and make sure his family are in a worse position going forward without him. Now, see, look, I don't know. Look, Ronald, you took it on a whole other level. But yes, he was going through a lot of things. And the gentleman we're talking about, I want you guys to just see how different he looked, right? This particular picture is a picture of him when he was in the military. And the gentleman that we're showing right now is the quote-unquote suspect that passed away yesterday on New Year's Day. And his name is Jabbar. Okay? And the FBI confirmed that he is originally from Texas. That is also where the rented truck that he used to commit this heinous crime, it was tracked back to a rental company known as Turo, okay, in Pasadena, Texas, okay. Also with the FBI, as you guys can see for yourself, okay, he was in the military. He was an Army veteran. Okay, and we're going to break it down. Okay, what were his roles in the Army, right? What were his roles? Okay, and from what I looked up, okay, he was a human resource specialist 42A. If you guys know what that position is, he was a human resource specialist 42A. Then also he was an IT specialist, information technology specialist 25B from March 2007 all the way to 2015. And then from 2015 to July of 2020, okay, Jabbar served in the Army Reserve as an information technology specialist 25B, okay? From February 2009 to January of 2010, Jabbar was deployed to Afghanistan. Now, why did I put that? Because I did speak about it, and the reason I want to keep rendering that because I do have a relative that is a veteran himself, and that's one of the things that he advised me personally. I can't speak for everybody, right? But he did personally advise me, and now I see why he advised me personally, because this particular gentleman that you're looking at, this suspect, he had went through 2 divorces, 1 divorces, a wife, ex-wife here, allegedly in Georgia, that ended up getting remarried. She had to file a restraining order against him. Okay? So this is just giving you a little bit of things that's going on. Now, when it comes down to, I'm not saying everybody in the military reacts like this. No, I've never. Much respect to people in the military. Much respect to the families. Okay, to veterans, to the families, to people in the military. Now, I'm just speaking for myself. When it comes down to a family that I know, he said he personally would not advise me to, quote unquote, deal, or should I say date, specifically date someone in the Army unless he has met them. Keyword, unless he has met them, right? Because he said a lot of people that go into the military, a lot of them are not properly trained and not properly, they are not, it's not the same as it was decades ago. His words, not mine, right? And that goes back to even what, and I really feel bad about mentioning this person, okay? But that goes back to what Pete Hegseth spoke on, okay? If you guys can remember what Pete Hegseth spoke about when it came down to military, when it came down to how much the military itself as a whole has changed, and just how much the military has changed, so much to the point it's not on the same level as it was, and it does not produce strong individuals, as they say, right? It's not on the same level. Now, this is how Pete Hegseth looks at it. He feels that, it's just a lot of issues that need to be dealt with within the military and fixed as far as infrastructure, right, as a whole. Now, why am I mentioning about this? Because look what you have here. And some people make it out. Congrats, salute to you. Make it out better everywhere. Shouts out, salutes to you. However, some individuals, have a rough time with the world we know as citizen life, right? They have a hard time. I'm going to go into the comments. I want to be very careful with my words. And Northern Dame says, that is no excuse, Graham. And Northern Dame, look, shout out to you. Look, I never said it was an excuse. And that's one thing. I do not condone any form of violence, right? I do not condone it, right? At all. And if anybody has seen, that's why I always stated, okay, violence is not the quote unquote answer. Should never be the answer. And even to the point I did hint on it as far as the live that I did, and I'll show it, right? Because of how we see it, when it comes down to the lack of assistance in healthcare as a whole. Okay, it needs assistance. It needs to be better. Healthcare as well as healthcare insurance. But right, I did state that we as a people, we can help lift somebody up. Right? We don't need to depend on these quote unquote medications that they supply. We don't need to quote unquote depend on certain things. Why? Because, and I'll show it to you. When it comes down to veterans, right? I said it before. They do not get the treatment that they need, and this is what you end up producing. Is it an excuse? No, it is not an excuse. But you have to kind of sit back. How do you expect somebody to come back to the real world and you just throw them out there? You just throw them out there. You hand them some pills. And then they're not even being properly managed with their medication. They're not even properly treated when it comes down to receiving therapy. Okay? And the reason I spoke about this, I did speak about this in a live that I did, where I used these 2 individuals. Okay? I use these two individuals right here. This lady, I want to make sure you guys can see. Both of these individuals, they suffered mental health from the same quote-unquote veteran clinic in Nevada. Okay? And within 1 week apart from each other, they ended up committing a crime, so much to the point that right now, to this day, they are held in quote-unquote mental hospital indefinitely because they had to plead mentally insane. I did do a live, but I did state this. Okay? If you see someone going through things, I did mention about the steps, but I'm not going to get into that today, but I just wanted to show that there is no quote unquote excuse, right? But I have to hold this system accountable for what is not being provided, just like what is not being provided with healthcare insurance when it comes down to denying claims, what is not being provided by the healthcare system as a whole. I have to be honest, right? But shots Notre Dame, you are absolutely right. It is no excuse, okay, for somebody to hurt for hurt. And Notre Dame, you got to be honest. I did mention that as well. It hurt for hurt. It doesn't help, right? You can't hurt somebody, and you can't hurt somebody because you're hurt. You can't do something just to get even. That doesn't help anybody. That does not help, because look at what this individual did. He left behind several kids, right? He left behind, okay, people that depended, I'm going to be honest, that he was a so-called father, supposed to be a father to. But because of the actions that he did, and someone in the comments mentioned it, right? This is how people prey on the weak, right? He ended up, quote unquote, supporting, I'll say it this way, because according to Joe Biden at his press conference yesterday, he did state that he was told by FBI that this individual, this suspect, he did, quote unquote, release multiple videos expressing his quote unquote views on ISIS as far as quote unquote support. I'll say it that way. Okay. And this is what happens when you become quote unquote weak, when you need some help, as they say. But I will say this, Notre Dame, you're absolutely right. No excuse moving forward. Now, when it comes down to the quote unquote criminal history, I just showed you guys the military background, right? His criminal history, yes. He did have a little bit of criminal history. And thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. And if you wish, you can, if you want, donate a super sticker to support the platform. Now, criminal history. He did have a little criminal history. 2002, according to reports, Jabbar was charged with a Class B misdemeanor theft in Katy, Texas. He pleaded guilty and received probation. 2005, he was arrested again for a suspended license. He pleaded no contest and only had to pay $100. Now, what was his political party? Just like people in this chat was asking, quote unquote, like, well, is he a citizen? Was he born here? What? Okay, so with his political party, 2012, he was registered as, and I know I'm going to hear it, Lord, I'm going to hear it. But 2012, he was registered as a Democrat in North Carolina. However, by the time he goes back to Texas, because people have to understand, he has been in a lot of states, okay? A lot of states. Because I just told you the connection here in Georgia, and I also told you with the fact that he was connected, of course, now you see North Carolina, but then look where he was originally from, Texas. Now, By the time he goes back to Texas, he was not affiliated with any political party. And I'm presuming that this is when he was going through some frustrations with his own life, right? Because 2012 he was registered to a party, Democrat Party. By the time he goes back to Texas, okay, his Texas voter registration, he was not affiliated with any party. Okay. Employment. Okay, with his employment, he was employed by a group called Midas Group and worked as a property manager at Blue Meadow Properties. And that is the video that I had showed you guys. I will show that particular clip. Thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. That is this particular quote unquote video that I showed you of the suspect, right? Now, what are the motives? And I'm going to go back into the comments. Greg says, yep, Northern Dame, you're exactly right. No excuses. And shout out to you guys. Yes, no excuse. There's no, and I want people to understand this, right? Because I think people are getting things twisted. Not you guys in the chat. No. But I'm stating in the real world, right? And when I say in the real world, it seems as if there are more things going on, if you guys notice that, right? Look at what happened on December the 4th with Luigi Mangione. Look what, I'm just putting it out there. Even with Donald Trump, and I'm trying to see if I have that. Even with Donald Trump himself, okay, look at how many times he had been quote unquote attempted. I'll say it that way, okay? How many attempts, okay, in regards pertaining to him, right? During the quote unquote election time frame, right? And if you guys can remember, I spoke about this gentleman right here, 58 years old. Okay, his name is Ryan Wesley Roth. He was the quote unquote, okay, person that tried to attack Donald Trump. Okay, September the 15th, right? And he attempted at doing this at Donald Trump's Palm Beach, okay, clubhouse, okay, in Florida. He attempted. This was on September the 15th. Then we're going to move forward. I just wanted you guys just to kind of take a step back, like, look at all what has been going on. And this is Ryan. This is actually Ryan's son. Yes, you can't make this up. This is his son, okay? The father who was arrested for trying to, quote unquote, cause he tried to cause Donald Trump to pass away, as they say. They arrested him September the 15th, and look at this. They arrest his son September the 21st for, I'm going to be very careful with my words, for quote unquote having images of kids. I don't have to say it that way. And yes, this is an actual quote unquote mugshot. You cannot make this up. So I'm just showing, and then, this particular individual, that you're looking at, Thomas Crooks, July the 13th, you guys can remember, he tried to quote unquote, come for Donald Trump himself at the Trump rally in Pennsylvania. Okay. July the 13th. All what I'm showing you guys, I'm just showing you all the things that has been going on, like last year. And then now the new year comes in on January the 1st of 2005. Right? The new year's comes in. Then we have this quote unquote mayhem. Now, and the reason I want to show Donald Trump is because of what happened on New Year's pertaining to Donald Trump. You cannot make this up, ladies and gentlemen. And Texas says, why do you No, I do not do that, Texas. If you obviously have not been on my platform, but thank you so much for coming in. Now, I do not attack anybody. I'm not attacking Donald Trump. If you have been on my platform, you would know this is not. I do not attack anybody. Okay, I feel that Donald Trump needs to have some safety, and based off the actions, the way these quote unquote federal government has been treating and handling things, okay, they have not been up to par. I'll say it that way when it comes down to protecting citizens as well as protecting your president, your quote unquote soon to be our quote unquote soon to be 47th elected president, Donald Trump. So yes, we have to have things addressed and spoken about, right? And that is not an attack. That's being real. And if you don't believe me, Donald Trump said it himself as well, okay? Donald Trump said it, okay? And I'm going to say a little quote from Donald Trump, okay? This came out of his mouth, not mine. I'm going to slide it over. Don't take my word for it. Donald Trump said, and I quote, "The USA is breaking down. It is an erosion of safety, national security, and democracy. It's taking place all across our nation." So I ask you again, Texas, who is attacking who? I am not attacking anybody, right? Donald Trump said it himself. He called it out for what it is. But shout out to you, Texas Repo. Shout out to you. Thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. Right? Things have to be dealt with and things have to be addressed because it has been too many, quote unquote, too much going on in regards to Donald Trump. Just because, I'm just going to be honest. I have to call it out for what it is. You know, people are already frustrated with amongst themselves with their own issues, such as this suspect, right? And not only such as that, I just showed you guys, okay, the suspects, July the 13th, you had this guy. July the 13th at the Trump rally in Pennsylvania, you had this guy, Thomas Crooks, right? Try Donald Trump. And yes, I did say try, but he failed, okay? Then you had this guy, September the 15th of 2024, 58-year-old Ryan Raw. They arrested him near Donald Trump's golf club at Palm Beach, Florida. Can't make this up. So I'm only just, showing the facts. These are facts. Okay? Now, when it comes down to what was or possible motive, FBI, according to FBI, in regards to the current incident that transpired yesterday, they are still investigating quote unquote motives. But when it comes down to these motives that we're speaking of today, okay, people are trying to see, is there a connection to what happened in Germany? Okay, quote unquote Germany on December the 20th. Mr. Newman says this comment was put out before all the information was there. Yes, in regards to what Donald Trump said. Yes. Clips D says we're going to play. No, we're not going to play, but thank you for coming in. Emily says, and shout out to Emily. Emily says Trump doesn't like being contradicted. Carly says he was mad for real. Yes, that Senate, that quote unquote Senate, Senator John Kennedy in Louisiana at the press conference yesterday, he was, let's just say not in the best, okay? Not in the best spirits. And the gentleman that people are talking about is this gentleman right here. This gentleman right here. Okay? Now, when it comes down to the quote-unquote connections as far as motives, why did Jabbar do what he did? Okay, people are trying to, critics, I'll say it that way. FBI has not confirmed it just yet, but when it came down to critics are trying to figure out, is this connected to, first, the incident that happened in Germany. Okay, the incident that happened in quote unquote Germany back December the 20th. Okay, and that is when this particular gentleman that you see right here, his name is, I'm going to say Taleb. Okay, Taleb. Okay, he actually drove his BMW. Okay, drove his BMW into a Christmas market that caused 200 people to be injured, and a 9-year-old boy and four women by the age of 45, 52, 67, and 75 years of age to pass away. This happened December the 20th. And this particular gentleman that I'm speaking about, his name is Taylor. Okay. This happened in Germany on December the 20th of last year. Okay. And when it came down to this particular gentleman that I'm speaking about, and that's why I say you can't judge a book by its cover, because this particular gentleman that I'm speaking about that did this in Germany, I cannot make this up, ladies and gentlemen. He was an actual psychotherapist as well as practice psychiatry. You cannot make this up. You cannot make this up. Okay? This gentleman was a 50-year-old that drove his BMW, okay, through a market, okay, in Germany on December the 20th. They caused 200 people to be injured and 4 women as well as a 9-year-old to pass away. Okay? But his quote unquote job was, or specialty, right, was in quote unquote psychotherapy and psychiatry. Okay? Now look. Now just come on now. And that's why I say you can't judge a book by its cover. You can't say, oh, well, they look this way, they look that way. It has no color, it has no race, it has no quote unquote economic levels, right? When people do this, you just have to move careful. I'll say it that way. You have to move careful, but don't live in fear. Okay? And when I say move careful, me personally, I don't like crowds. Especially now. I'm not going in the crowds. It's too much going on. It's too many people. And the gentleman that I'm showing you that did this crime in Germany on December 20th is this gentleman. His name is Taylor. Right? This is supposed to be a so-called psychotherapist that also specializes in psychiatry. But he drove his BMW through a market. But moving along. Now, they are still investigating to try to, find, connections and all of this, critics, that is. Now, FBI here in America, the federal government here in America, connections pertaining to the incident that happened yesterday in Louisiana. They are currently investigating this matter that happened with the Cybertruck. Now we're going to move to the quote-unquote Cybertruck. Okay? And this incident happened. Now remember, I told you guys the incident that happened in New Orleans off of Bourbon Street, okay, of Louisiana. It happened at 3:15 a.m. by a U.S. citizen from Texas, born in Texas, by the name of Jabbar. Okay. This incident happened at 8:40 a.m. Pacific time in Las Vegas, Nevada, pertaining to the Cybertruck. Okay. And because of that, make sure I fix some things for YouTube purposes. Because of that, one person ended up passing away, and the person that passed away was the person that was actually sitting in the car. Okay, that was actually sitting in this Cybertruck, and the Cybertruck actually contained a lot of quote unquote 4th of July fireworks. I'll say it that way. 4th of July fireworks, as well as tanks. Okay, tanks with gasoline. Now, a lot of people tried to comfort Mr. Elon Musk. Yes, they did, but Elon Musk said, "You are not finna try me today." Why? Because when it comes down to Mr. Elon Musk, he is the owner of the Cybertruck Tesla. Okay, Elon Musk. And critics really tried to comfort him and his brand, his company, the Tesla. The Cybertruck is under the brand Tesla, and critics were trying to make it seem like the Cybertruck is just a horrible vehicle. But as you can see, that is not the case. It was allegedly planted in front of, here we go, Donald Trump Towers should I say Donald Trump Hotel in Nevada. Okay? So the person that was in this particular Cybertruck, it appears to have been traced back to the same rental company as the truck that was used in the incident in New Orleans. Yes, in the incident that happened in New Orleans. And thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. And I'm going to go back into the comments. Emily says, he would rather run with a lie than be wrong. Can you talk about Donald Trump? And shout out, thank you for the like. Yes, thank you for the likes. Morris says, in hindsight, 2020, you know, veterans suffer all sorts of problems. Yes. Pray for the families. Yes. Gotta pin it. But I have to agree with Greg, and I have to agree with Northern Dame. That is no excuse. Okay. I don't want people to I don't want it to seem like I'm trying to justify the heinous crimes, right? That has been committed, right? There's no excuse for violence, right? Just like YouTube does not condone violence, it does not condone certain things on this platform. We do not condone violence, okay? And shout out to Northern Dame as well as Greg Wright, you know, because I concur. But thank you so much, Morris. You are absolutely correct. You know, veterans, I'll keep trying to say it now. And see, this is why Donald Trump, I will state this. This is one of the reasons Donald Trump, as well as J.D. Vance, you know, they spoke about, you know, how they want to deal with what in their perception that the federal government, they have not been dealing with the funds, okay, accordingly, and it has not been appropriately handed out to the people when it comes down to things. Okay, and that is why you have the quote-unquote Department of Government Efficiency now. Okay, and I'm not sure it's been signed off just yet by the House of Senate and just yet. Okay, not just yet, but Donald Trump did implement that. He did state, this is what I want to start, and the people that I want to have over this particular program, okay, are Elon Musk, this gentleman right here. Now, when it comes down to quote unquote Elon Musk, I want you guys to see Elon Musk as well as Vivek. They are the ones that Donald Trump has put. I want to make sure I want you guys to see who I'm talking about. Elon Musk, okay, as well as quote unquote Vivek, they are the ones that Donald Trump has placed into the position to be over the particular Dodge program. And thank you guys for coming in. I want you guys to see who I'm talking about. These two individuals. Okay. These two individuals are who he has placed under the program, okay, that will, according to Donald Trump, focus on regulating government spending. Okay, these are the individuals that he has placed on this program, and according to Donald Trump, the Department of Government Efficiency will last for just 2 years. So it's not going to be the whole term of 4 years. Okay, it's not. Okay, that's what Donald Trump is saying. Okay, so he just wants to put that out there. Now, I'm not going to get into it as far as the H-1B visa, because I got really hit with the H-1B visa and Vivek's comments in regards to the H-1B visas, as well as Elon Musk's views on it, in addition to Vivek's comments in regards to the American culture. I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to do it. Okay. Just going for now. We're going to let it lay. Okay. We're going to let that lay what Vivek said about the American culture being mediocre. We're going to just let it lay there. I'm not saying nothing. I'm not going to say nothing because that's not what we're going to talk about today. We're talking about the actions. We're talking about the actions of this suspect and this quote unquote unidentified suspect that committed the crime in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I want to speak on this. Do you guys know, and you guys can tell me in the comments, they still have not identified the person that committed this crime in the front of Donald Trump's hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada. Okay, they still have not stated the name. He or she is just unnamed. Okay, well, I'm sorry, unidentified. Right? They haven't named, but they said they know the person's name because, according to reports, it has been traced back to the same rental company. So they know the person's name. They just don't want to say who. Not yet. And I'm presuming, according to FBI, they want to make sure they do a quote-unquote thorough investigation. But remember what I said, the Senator John Kennedy stated. He said he wants the federal government to tell the truth and tell the people the truth, okay, when they have done their investigation. He said he does not want them to make up any excuses. Remember, he did state that, the Republican senator in Louisiana by the name of John Kennedy. Now, when it comes down to this particular incident, the Cybertruck in Las Vegas, okay, it did cause one person to pass away, and that person was allegedly the person that was the cause of this Cybertruck, okay, doing what happened, I'll say it that way, and as well as 7 others, they were injured. Now, how does Elon Musk come into this? What you're looking at, this is an actual post that the actual quote-unquote America PAC, they released, that was founded under Elon Musk. Okay, if you guys don't know what the PAC stands for, America PAC, this is the same organization that assisted in regards to during Donald Trump's election. Okay, and they released a statement. The PAC released a statement. They said, and I quote, "The fact that this was a Cybertruck really limited the damage that occurred inside the valet because it had most of everything go up." I'm just saying it that way. "Through the truck and out. The glass doors at the Trump Hotel was not even broken. Now, why do they say that? Because people tried to put out there in the air that the Cybertruck was defective and, saying all this madness, and Elon Musk and the PAC organization, they had to come in and said, you're not finna hate on my legacy. Now, Elon Musk said that. Now, he did say it, and he did say somewhere in the rounds of basically don't hate the legacy, basically meaning don't tell false narratives in regards to my company Tesla. Okay, don't give out these false narratives, because according to Elon Musk, it's like, and he showed how different media outlets tried to insinuate that the Cybertruck itself was defective. But as you guys can see, it was not defective. It quote unquote was placed in the front of Trump Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada, and it was set on as you can see. Moving forward, let me go back down. Thank you guys for coming in. I'm gonna go back down. Go. Now, as I stated earlier, the Cybertruck originally was traced, to a dealership not the Cybertruck, but the F-150 truck, right? F-150 truck. Now, this is where it's getting murky. The F-150 truck was traced back to a dealership in Pasadena, Texas. However, this dealership called Mack Hale Ford dealership, allegedly, okay, we're just gonna say the dealership in Pasadena, Texas, okay. With this particular dealership, they did not want to comment who purchased this F-150 truck. However, this F-150 electric truck did get traced to a rental company. Remember that I spoke on that. It did get traced to a rental company. However, according to Newsweek, okay, you guys should know how Newsweek rolls, but according to Newsweek, they tried to go online and try to rent the truck out to see if it would still be able to be rented out, and they could not. It was disabled. It was quote unquote disabled, for anybody to rent it out. And they said, according to them, I want to make sure. Yeah, right here. According to them, they stated that the truck was online for $67 per day. This is what they said. This is according to Newsweek. They said it was online under the rental company called Turo for $67 a day. However, when they tried to rent it to see if it was still being allowed to be able to be rented out, it just got disabled. The company ended up disabling, people to rent out the vehicle, the truck altogether. And that is when Newsweek, was able to do furthermore research and find out that the truck was purchased from a dealership in Pasadena, Texas. So that's how we're able to trace that F-150 electric truck that was in that crime, that heinous crime, at 3:15 yesterday on New Year's. Okay, that's how we was able to trace it back to quote unquote Texas, where the suspect Jabbar, supposedly had lived. And I'm going to show the house. Yes, the house, because now we're moving forward to his childhood background. Okay, his childhood background, according to two people that knew him as a kid. One person by the name of Cal Roach. You cannot make, that's his last name, Cal Roach. Okay, he stated that he knew the suspect ever since high school. Okay, in Texas, Beaumont Central High School. And he said with this particular suspect, he said that this gentleman was very well spoken, smart, on a presidential level. Okay, this is what he said. Now look, this is what he said. And he said that was very engaging. Now I'm going to play a clip of this particular childhood friend. Okay, and his name is Cal Roach. I want to make sure I hit the key parts though, okay? And thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. We're giving a full breakdown on this gentleman that committed this heinous crime, okay? This quote unquote heinous crime. And thank you guys for coming in. Let me make sure I show it, the actual clip of the childhood friend that I'm speaking of by the name of quote unquote Cal. And thank you guys for coming in. This gentleman right here, he is one of the childhood friends that actually knew this gentleman, quote unquote Jabbar. And his name is quote unquote Cal. I'm gonna call him Cal. I don't want to say his last name. Okay. I don't want to say his last name. Okay. But according to him, he said that the suspect was very well spoken, very smart, very engaging with everyone. And it really just shocked him. And I'm gonna play a little bit of what he had to say, and it's very shocking on what he said. One part was very, very shocking on what he quote unquote said about the suspect. Okay, and this is quote unquote fair use. Thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button.
I'm just shocked, and the fact that something that's making national news, you know, it happened with somebody that was actually from Beaumont.
Now, I'm gonna go down to show or play the part that really kind of like hit me a little bit like, whoa, are you serious? This is the comment that he made about just how you know, welcoming, engaging, smart person he was as a teenager in high school when he knew the suspect. Okay, and this is what he had to say.
If he's the same age as my daughter and he says, hey, I want to date your daughter, I wouldn't have no second guess about it. I mean, he was well respected, carried himself well. And
now, notice what he said, and that really shocked me, right? He stated if the suspect, this gentleman right here, if the suspect were his daughter's age, he would not even question if he would allow him to date his daughter. That's just how quote unquote engaging, well-spoken, smart he was, right? According to this gentleman, okay? Mr. Cal Roach. That's his last name. Now, another person that knew this suspect, okay, is Mr. Chris Poston. Now, Chris Poston, he knew the suspect a little bit longer than Kyle had known him. Chris Poston had known him since 1996, all the way from middle school and to high school. So he knew him longer. And according to him, I want to make sure he said the same thing. He said they became instant friends and later attended the same high school. And after graduating, the two lost touch when the suspect, Jabbar, joined the Army. And Chris himself joined the Air Force. And according to Chris Poston, right, the one that known him from middle school and high school, unlike Kyle, who had only known him since high school, Chris Poston, who later entered the Air Force, he said that Jabbar was very quiet, very reserved, smart, articulate. And he said that when he reached back out to him years after, you know, they had parted ways because one went to the Air Force and then the suspect, he went into the Army. He stated how that he noticed the suspect on his Facebook page or social media outlet. It appeared that he was a Muslim. Okay, I guess he had turned into a Muslim, but he stated that even with the fact that he had, I guess, converted to Muslim, he was always still positive, and he spoke about things that were about peace. Okay, and every time they would talk, he stated that the suspect would say, "Peace be with you," and he would speak on uplifting matters. Okay. So I'm just, giving you guys, just a kind of, breakdown of just how you cannot really judge a book by its cover, right? And thank you guys for coming in. Thank you guys for coming in. When it comes down to, I want to make sure I show this gentleman that we're talking about. He made headlines yesterday, okay, for the wrong reasons, as they would say. And I'm going back into the comments. Thank you guys for coming in. Oh, somebody said, can't stand Kennedy. His fake accent isn't fooling anyone. Nobody in Louisiana talks like that. Whoa. Now, thank you so much for coming in. That was a lot. Whitney, shout out to Whitney says, I'm not surprised by this. TDS has been on the rise. And this is why I say it is a lot going on. It is a lot going on. Carly says, he is a good man. Love his saying and memorable phrases that always seem to go viral. Yes. And the gentleman that these people talk about in the chat is this gentleman right here. This gentleman right here. He's not holding up. I mean, he's like, they are not finna get away with, they're not gonna hide anything. Okay, because I spoke to you guys about the quote unquote drones that has been flying around in the skies and whatnot, and the federal government didn't want to speak too much on it, and they was making it seem as if it is not a quote unquote conspiracy and all this mess, and telling people, please do not take things into your own hands. Remember that, speaking about the drones, right? So when it comes down to this matter, Senator John Kennedy, he's saying this is not the same, okay? And I'm not finna allow you guys to hold anything as far as excuses moving forward, okay? When it comes down to answering the questions that the citizens of Louisiana, as well as Americans as a whole, we need quote unquote what answers, okay? Now, response. What were the responses, okay? Because of all that has been going on, right? Now, when it comes down to the governor of Louisiana, this gentleman right here, okay? Now, when it comes down to him, he stated that he quote unquote issued an executive order for today for all the flags to be quote unquote half bathed. Okay, that was his response. And also, in addition to that, okay, in addition to the governor's response, now there was supposed to be a sugar bowl, a quote unquote sugar bowl, but that was postponed. It was supposed to happen yesterday on New Year's Day, but that was postponed until today. So the Super Bowl, that will be a game between quote unquote Notre Dame, and shout out to UGA, against Notre Dame versus UGA, University of Georgia. If you know, you know. Now, they stated in regards to the Super Bowl, Sugar Bowl, okay, it will be Eastern time at 3 p.m. today, okay? They will, okay, supposedly for now, from what I looked up, the game was postponed for 24 hours due to what happened was it was put on hold, 24-hour hold. And the game will start 3 p.m. Eastern time today, January the 2nd, the day after New Year. Okay, to make sure all of the citizens of Louisiana and people are, safe. Okay, they want to make sure everything is handled accordingly. However, remember when I said about the quote unquote responses? Remember when I said about the quote unquote responses, right? Even with the governor reassuring people, as well as quote unquote them having this press conference yesterday and speaking to multiple media outlets yesterday. When I say they, I'm talking about Senator John Kennedy, the FBI, the mayor. I'm speaking about everybody. Now, parents and people are still kind of, questioning things, right? So, what are their response? A lot of people yesterday were seen, yes, at the quote-unquote New Orleans International Airport. Dozens of Notre Dame fans were seen leaving the city, okay, following this quote-unquote crime that transpired. And remember when I stated that what the FBI, I just want to make sure, want to repeat, okay, because the FBI, they did put out there in the press conference yesterday, they're asking anyone who has had contact with Jabbar, the suspect that committed the crime in New Orleans, okay, if you had any contact with Jabbar within the last 72 hours, okay, to come forward, and you can come forward by calling 1-800-CALL-FBI. That was the number that was provided in the press conference yesterday. As well, if you want to go another route, okay, you can contact FBI's New Orleans Bureau, okay, by emailing them tips@fbi.gov. I'm going to repeat it again. tips@fbi.gov, okay? This is what the information that they are giving out as far as reaching out to them. Now, when it comes down to the number of people, the victims, pertaining to this heinous crime that happened yesterday morning, 3:15 a.m. of New Year's Day, okay? Police, they're asking anyone, if you're looking for your loved one, if you're still looking for your loved one, even now, okay, to call the number that I have, or you can call New Orleans 311 number, okay? So, I just want you guys, I'm not going to say it. Look, you have to see it for yourself. Look, you can call 911 if you still have a loved one, or you're concerned or worrying about a loved one. You can call 911 or the New Orleans 311 number. Now, other responses. And thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. Thank you for coming in. If you would like, you can donate a super sticker or become a member to the platform. And I'm going to go into the comments. Tisha says, ISIS recruits Americans, French, British, and etc. Yes, they play on the insecurities and pull them in like the weak, especially ones that are mad at the government. I'm glad that you guys speak on this, right? And this is why I always speak about as far as being strong, right? Rumpel agrees with Carly. Tisha says Kennedy is a great senator. He speaks the truth. Gotta pin it. Shout out to Tisha. Gotta pin it. Shout out to Grayson. What did you say, Grayson? I missed what you said, Grayson. Narendra says, I will say this. No tiptoeing about it. I challenge anyone to refute this. Ask me, any Muslim, what is more important for him? Oh, wait a minute. That's heavy. Wait a minute, Narendra. That is some heavy topic. Wait a minute, Narendra. I gotta be careful. What? Narendra, you are not. Narendra, shout out to Narendra, is not playing today. Red Room said, did this guy just snap? Yes, Narendra is not playing. If you know how Narendra rolls. Narendra, that's why I had to stop myself before I read aloud in this live what you said, Narendra. And shout out to Narendra. Shout out to Narendra. Vinny says, sure doesn't look like the pics of the driver. They're up to false flags again. Be safe, y'all. And see, this is why I say when it comes down to a lot of things, that's why you have to do your own research. And that's why I'm being very careful with when I do my research. And that is one of the reasons I was not so fast to just hurry up and put information out yesterday. Because as you guys can see in this current live, even the press conference that they gave yesterday, right? Even the press conference that they gave yesterday in New Orleans, they're doing this to try to, make people feel safe, as they say, right? Because this press conference, you had the governor there, even the governor. I want to make sure I get to that part where the governor, he basically spoke about that he was going to attend the Sugar Bowl, okay? The governor himself, he said that he didn't want, he was going to go to the Sugar Bowl, okay? He felt safe, okay? And he wanted to make sure people felt safe. So I'm going to fast forward to that part where he stated that in this particular press conference that was held. And thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. Thank you so much for the likes. When it comes down to Governor Laundrie, I'm going to actually hurry up to the point where trying to see where it is. Thank you so much for coming in. Make sure before I hit it.
I want to thank again all of our law enforcement officers out there. I want the families of the victims to know that I will be issuing an executive order that tomorrow, when Notre Dame plays Georgia, every flag of every state building in this state is going to be at half-mast. In remembrance of them, but remembering something else. That fear in this state is a liar. Oh man, do I really want to go to the Sugar Bowl tomorrow? I tell you one thing, your governor's going to be there. That is proof, believe you me, that facility in this city is safer today than it was yesterday. And as we come to additional events in this city, I know in speaking with Senator Kennedy and Congressman Carter, and FBI acting director.
Now I'm going to stop it there. Now, when it comes down to and I just want people to think about this as well, okay? I want people to think about this. There's another huge event coming up. If you're into sports, you should know. Huge event coming up next month. Okay? I want to say it's either this month or next month. I want to say next month. And that is the Super Bowl. Right? So you got to understand why Senator John Kennedy says, oh, heck no, you don't. You guys gonna answer today. If you don't answer today, you better answer tomorrow. Or in his words, I'm going to repeat exactly what he said. In his words, he said, and I quote, saddle up or ride. That's how he said it. Because there will be the Super Bowl coming up in New Orleans. And they want to make sure that everything will be ready for that big event, because that big event is going to supposedly bring in millions and millions upon millions of dollars back to New Orleans. And if you guys know, okay, if you guys know, one of the people that pertains to the Super Bowl events that's been dealing with and over the Super Bowl events is Mr. Sean Carter, also known as Jay-Z, also known as the husband to Beyonce Knowles. So it's a lot of investment and money, you know, to get, okay, or to gain for the city of New Orleans, okay, as well as to gain in Jay-Z pockets. But that's neither here nor there. Okay, focus back to this incident. This is why on their end they have to make sure the FBI does do their due diligence when it comes down to this investigation pertaining to this incident, as well as to make sure there are no other people involved, and to also make sure, just like I showed you guys earlier, to make sure that the Cybertruck incident that happened in Las Vegas the same day yesterday is not in correspondence to the incident that happened in New Orleans at 3:15 a.m. yesterday as well. So this is a lot, to do. They got a lot in their hands, okay, to do with. Now, how did Joe Biden respond to this? Right? And thank you guys for coming in. Angel says Trump don't want wait a minute. Trump doesn't want wait a minute. Oh, you guys, Narendra, shout out to Narendra and shout out to Angel Rodriguez. You guys are not playing today in this chat, I see. And shout out to Patriot Graham. Patriot Graham says, good morning, fam. Shout out to Patriot. Shout out to Patriot. Good morning, Patriot. And shout out to Angel. Reg says, they agree with what Angel said in the comments. Reg says, Angel, yes, military is for quote unquote. I can't repeat it. It's so much. It's so heavy in this chat. You guys have to read it. I don't want to read it, but you guys have to read it. Tisha says, Trump doesn't care if people are happy, as they say in the military. He's against paying for those quote unquote changes. Yes, surgical changes. Yes, but they give every active duty and vets free plastic. Oh my goodness, free plastic surgery for moral reasons. I don't think we should be. Now, this is why Kamala Harris lost, right? Because if you guys can go back, Kamala Harris was caught in an interview speaking about how she felt that, okay, taxpayers, okay, when it came down to these surgeries, it should come out of whom? Allegedly's pocket? Taxpayers' pockets. Why? Because if you look at, I showed it, okay, I did speak on it, and I actually showed the clip where she mentioned she would agree to men in prisons getting surgery. Yes, surgery, receiving surgery to have quote unquote changes to themselves. I'll say it that way, okay? And shout out to the LGBTQIA plus community, hint, hint. But I'm trying to be very careful with my way of saying it. But if you read what Tisha said in the comments, as well as quote unquote Angel, as well as what quote unquote they're talking about in this conversation, you'll know what I'm speaking about, okay? And shout out to Shane. Shane says, our government treats our veterans horribly. I just don't understand why our government or whether our new administration wants to reduce spending to VA benefits. And thank you so much, Shane. I have to give much praise to you because I did speak on that. But I did say it's no excuse for the actions that were committed yesterday by the veteran named Jabbar, Army veteran named Jabbar. It is no excuse. And Shane, I concur. My prayers and hearts goes out to the victims of yesterday in both New Orleans, Louisiana, as well as Las Vegas, Nevada. And last but not least, my prayers goes out to all citizens in America, period, as well as people around the world, because these are the times. Yes, these are the times as a whole. Carly says, that's true. My husband's a veteran, has said the same thing regarding the military. It's not the same as when he was in. And see, this is what I was stating, right? Pete Hegseth spoke on that, right? You've had a number of people speaking about how the military is not the same. And a lot of people have kind of gotten, upset with the way this current administration has continued to provide, and I did speak on it. I did show it to you guys how this current administration has sent billions and billions of dollars of military aid to other countries. Okay, I'm not going to get into specific details. I spoke about it in previous lives, but Joe Biden's administration, Congress, okay, because they did approve of it too, has sent billions and billions of dollars to other countries for military aid and to assist. But as you guys can see, what has happened and has been going on here in America, I will stand on it. We need to deal with deal with this healthcare system that needs help, right? Deal with this inflation here in America that needs help. And last but not least, deal with everything here that needs current assistance, okay? Because I'm standing on this. Nobody here in America, right? If people know how much money America gains every year, right, and approves of every year, everybody in America should have health care, and nobody should be homeless. I'm going to just leave it at that. Now, moving forward, when it comes down, and if you concur what I said, okay, please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the channel. And if you wish, you can donate a super chat sticker if you wish. And thank you guys for coming in. And shout out to Haley. Haley says, preach, queen. And Darren says, I don't like to laugh, but Jabbar is his first name. Now, see, I don't want to, look, I didn't want to say his first name, Darren, okay? I did not want to say the quote-unquote suspect's first name. I'm just going to call him Mr. Jabbar, okay? And thank you so much. Tisha says, we need to go back to plants, such as medical. Yes. Yes. The pharmaceutical doesn't want states to legalize because the plant is medicine. And that's another conversation. A lot of people, especially in the state that I live in, right? Heavy topics. Angel Rodriguez says, letting random people in the military with random backgrounds not safe. Tisha says, my ex-husband was in the Air Force. He didn't resign for the same reason. Wow. Carly says, sadly, the VA has been a mess the past 4 years. So sad. My prayers goes out. Brenda says, my husband has PTSD and had open heart surgery shortly after his denial. Wow. Prayers goes out to you, Brenda Stone. My prayers goes out to you. That is why I stated what I stated. Nobody here in America, as much money that America has or should have, as I say, nobody here in America should be homeless and should quote unquote not be without quote unquote healthcare insurance as well as other insurances. It doesn't make sense. And thank you guys for coming in. Nicole says, this is so weird, very suspicious. Then thank you for coming in, Nicole. Patriot once again says, good morning, everyone. Going into the live. My apologies, I'm behind. Tisha says, I live in the town Mangione got caught. You live in Altoona, Tisha? Pennsylvania, Tisha? The guy that caught him still didn't get the reward yet. Are you serious? Whoa, Tisha. Tisha, I got a penny. Tisha says, in regards to Luigi Mangione, the CEO suspect of New York, he was apprehended at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania. She's stating in the chat that the person has not received their reward yet. Because if you guys can remember, there was a monetary reward that was supposed to be given. Tisha also says people in jail with him, with Luigi, say he was running his mouth and how he did it and trying to act like a hero. Whoa. Whoa, Tisha, you coming with woof. Woof. Yes, please do not use certain words. Thank you, Narendra, for holding it down in the chat. Yes, under YouTube guidelines. Yes. Steve P. Hello, Steve P. Welcome back. Steve P. says, why do you tiptoe around saying, I cannot say certain things, Steve P., okay? And MTG says, make America great. Shout out to MTG. And thank you guys for coming in. Hello, Melinda. Melinda says, good morning. Yes, I am not. Shout out to Tisha. If you know, you know. Thank you so much, you guys, for coming in. I'm going into the comments. I'm reading the comments. Okay, now, the last thing I want to show was almost the last thing. It's not always, it's not almost the last thing, but just about. I wanted to show the response to, quote unquote, this gentleman, our current president. I got to be honest. I have to give it up to Joe Biden, though. I'm not going to lie. He's 82 years old. He has been flying off a plane and doing multiple press conferences and interviews. I mean, he hopped off the plane yesterday. As soon as he got off the plane, they want to hurry up and ask him about what happened in New Orleans. And he looked like he was like, whoa, where am I? I mean, come on, let the man, can he get off the plane first real good? I mean, as soon as he got off the plane, they want to start hitting him with questions like boom. And fast forward, he did give a response when he got off the plane, but we're not going to get into that part. We're going to get into the part that I want to show where he held an actual press conference where it was live. And shout out to, let me see who. Shout out to Carly. Thank you so much, Carly. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Happy New Year's, Carly. Got to give a mad shout out to Carly. Thank you so much. Where are you, Carly? Let me find you. Let me find you, Carly. Let me find you. And thank you so much, Carly. Shout out to Carly. Thank you so much. Now, when it comes down to, I got to take a deep breath. I'm trying to get better at this. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you so much, Carly. I'm trying not to get emotional. I always have a tendency to get emotional with things, but thank you so much, Carly. Thank you so much. When it comes down to Joe Biden, I want people to understand Joe Biden, he's 82 years old. Please just give the man some grace, right? Right now, we're going to hold him accountable for some things. Trust, yes. We're going to hold him accountable for a lot of things, because I still do not concur with him handing out all those billions and billions of dollars of military aid overseas. It's ridiculous. Okay? I mean, you know what? The best analogy, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong when I say this, the best analogy when I see the administration and Congress, you know, signing off and approving of certain things as far as funding goes, I look at it like this, right? Would you give, let's say this, would you go into your personal bank account and give, let's say you live in Georgia, right? Would you give $100,000 out your bank account? Would you send that $100,000 out to, let's say, Kamala Harris? I'm just saying. Like, I just, you know what? Let's not even use Kamala Harris. You go into your bank account, $100,000, and you send that $100,000, okay, to, let's just say, somebody you don't even know, but they just tell you they need your money to help them, right? They need your $100,000 to help them buy a house. You don't even know who they are. You don't even know what they're doing, but you're just going off of what, okay, half of your neighbors have said. This person in California, you live in Georgia, but this person in California, they need your $100,000 to help build their $1 million house in California. That's how I look at the actions of what Joe Biden's administration and this Congress, as far as funding, okay, funding money out, okay. And we, as you guys can see, we have a lot of issues here in America to deal with. We really do. Because time and time again, we have seen too many people get into situations or put themselves into situations such as this suspect Jabbar. Now, back to Joe Biden. What? And thank you so much for the like. Now, back to Joe Biden. I'm going to show a clip of Joe Biden, bless his heart, okay? Because it couldn't be me, okay? I'm telling you right now, I get off the jet, you better not come in my face asking me about no Jabbar. I tell you, I see you at this press conference at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern time. And here is our president, our current president, Joe Biden. Yes. What did he have to talk about? And thank you for the likes. And shout out to Carly for the super chat sticker. Thank you so much. Now, Joe Biden. What did he have to say? Okay. I'm going to keep it short with Joe Biden, okay? Because he has a lot going on, okay? A lot going on. I'm going to play 2 clips of Mr. Joe Biden, okay? And the first clip, let me go ahead and find it for us, okay? And fair use.
All the people of New Orleans who are grieving today, I want you to know, I grieve with you. Our nation grieves with you. We're going to stand with you as you mourn and as you heal in the weeks to come. I want to thank our brave first responders and law enforcement personnel.
Now, that was the first clip, okay? The next clip I'm going to show in this particular matter, okay, this press conference, okay, because I feel like he was, okay, let me just play it, okay. With this particular press conference, he's basically, letting people know that his heart goes out to the family, to the victims, of the incidents, okay, especially in New Orleans. And in addition, he did state that he was going to, quote unquote, give you the facts. And with him, he was reading off the teleprompter, okay? He looks tired, but he was reading off the teleprompter, basically telling him what FBI told him to tell us, okay? But if you have been listening to this live, the FBI has been, well, let me say it this way. The federal government, the FBI, especially the press conference that they had in New Orleans, it seems as if they still trying to figure out themselves what's going on, right? They're trying to see if the suspect Jabbar, this gentleman that I'm talking about, the suspect Jabbar, if I can, let me go, this suspect right here, Jabbar, okay, they're trying to figure out if he is, quote unquote, did he work alone or did he have other people? They still trying to figure that out, right? And thank you guys for coming in. I'm going to play, quote unquote, the next clip of what Joe Biden is saying, his team, okay? What he says his team told him and what they directed him, okay? And my prayers goes out to, people, during this New Year's, right?
I directed my team to make sure every resource is made available to federal, state, and local law enforcement to complete the investigation in New Orleans quickly and to make sure there is no remaining threat to the American people. We'll support the people of New Orleans as they begin the hard work of healing. New Orleans is a place unlike any other place in the world. It's a city full of charm and joy. So many people around the world love New Orleans because of its history, its culture, and above all, its people.
So, thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. Okay, and this particular clip that you're looking at, this was the press conference that Joe Biden gave in response, okay, to the actions that happened yesterday. And if you know, you know, what were the actions that happened yesterday? The actions that happened yesterday were, one, 3:15 a.m. on Bourbon Street in New Orleans, Louisiana. There was a suspect by the name of Jabbar who drove on Bourbon Street that caused 15 people to pass away and 35 others to be injured. And of those 35 people that were injured, 2 or 3 officers, they were injured when Jabbar, after driving the Ford F-150 vehicle, the Ford F-150 quote-unquote vehicle, I'm going to stroll up for you guys to see what I'm talking about. The F-150 quote-unquote vehicle through the street, through everybody, okay? He caused 15 people to pass away. And the 2 officers, the 2 or 3 officers, they are currently in stable conditions. And they were the heroes, okay, that caused this matter to end. Why? Because one of the officers caused Jabbar not to be here anymore. I'll say it that way. And just to do a review with quote unquote Jabbar, it comes to find out, yes, he is an American U.S. citizen born in Texas. However, he has lived in multiple states within the United States, as well as he did do a tour in Afghanistan. Okay, he is a quote unquote veteran. Okay, and thank you guys for coming in. Just giving a brief. And according to his living standings, forgot to show this. I forgot one thing. They did trace his home. Yes, his physical home in Texas. It was raided. I forgot to mention that part. I wanted to actually show that. It was raided yesterday. And let me make sure I can show it to you guys. It was actually raided yesterday. And that's what I forgot. Forgot to show that particular video where his house was quote unquote raided. And thank you guys for coming in. Now, what you're looking at, this is a quote unquote map. I'm going to get to the actual part where the FBI did raid his home, and it appeared to be individuals. Okay, they were asked to evacuate the home, and they came out with their hands up in the sky. Okay, as they say. And I'm going to move forward for you guys to see where it was raided. As you can see, this gentleman right here, I'm going to back it up for you guys to see. And this is fair use, fair use. Okay, he was actually coming out of the home. And yes, this is actually on the street in Texas where this suspect, quote unquote, lived. As you can see, somebody was coming out the home. It was 2 gentlemen with their hands up. With their hands up. Okay. Now, this is how FBI was moving yesterday. Okay. This is the actual house of Jabbar. Okay. Where it was raided. And I'm going to go back to, and thank you guys for coming in, right? Now, why did I show that? Because according to my research and findings, he did go through not 1 but 2 divorces. He has multiple children, and I'm questioning those 2 gentlemen that exited out of his home in Texas that was raided yesterday, were those two gentlemen, okay, were them or one of them or his children, okay? And in addition, okay, with this particular house that was raided, it looked like a farm. It had chickens. You cannot make this up. It had chickens. It had goats. You cannot make this up, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Now, the reason I'm talking about this, just to kind of give you a background of what was this suspect background? Okay. So I told you guys he comes from 2 divorces, as well as he did have multiple kids. And then also this live, I did speak about how he had, his finances were not up to par, right? His finances were quote unquote not up to par. And when I say that because even when it comes down to his divorce, okay, or should I say his divorces, one of his wives, okay, according to court records and reports, okay, filed a restraining order against him, right? Then another one, he ended up owing money. He ended up becoming $16,000 in credit card debt due to court fees, okay, due to legal fees, okay, and that was in 2022. And 2021, can't make this up, 2021, he ended up, quote unquote, owing, or should I say losing $28,000 from starting his own real estate business. Okay, so these are things that people, are, stating like, was this some of the reason he was going through things? No excuse, right? No excuse for his actions, but we got to look at his background, right? Got to look at his background. Okay, and as you can see, when it came down to his restraining order, the finances, just all over the place, okay? All over the place. Georgia connections, okay? Graduated from Georgia State with a bachelor's degree within 2 years. Ended up getting a bachelor's degree in computer information system, okay? And we're just reviewing what we discussed today, right? So he does have, or should I say, had connections to Georgia, right? And one of his wives, allegedly, he lived here, okay, in Georgia with one of his wives before he had a divorce, okay? And this is when he was going for his quote unquote, he obtained his degree after he matriculated from Georgia State University, okay? Now, military background, as I stated, and the FBI did confirm that he was an Army veteran, okay? And yes, this is him. How he looked when he was in the military, right? Very different. And his positions in the military, as I stated earlier, he was Human Resource Specialist 42A. And then after that, he was an Information Technology Specialist, or IT Specialist 25B, from March 2007 until January 2015. Then 2015 to July of 2020, Jabbar served in the Army Reserves as IT Specialist 25B. Now, this is where I'm wondering, maybe start going through things. He ended up getting deployed to Afghanistan from February 2009 to January 2010. And he ended up receiving an honorable discharge, okay, as quote unquote sergeant. Okay, that was the position that he ended up walking out or should I say honorably discharging from the military altogether. Criminal history, we spoke about that. He had a misdemeanor that he pleaded guilty to, and he received probation. Then he ended up getting arrested again, or should I say, for suspended license. He pleaded no contest, and he ended up only having to pay $100 fine. Also, when it comes down to his employment, and you guys, I spoke about it, he was a property manager, right? And in addition to him being a property manager, he tried to start his own real estate company, where he ended up, and I said it, I showed it to you guys, he ended up losing $28,000 in his real estate business in 2021. Okay, so we've already discussed, okay, his military, he had military background, history, he had a little bit of soft criminal history, it was soft, and his political party, he was only associated with the political party as a Democrat in North Carolina, but only in the year of 2012, it appeared that he was registered as a quote-unquote Democrat. But after that, from Texas voter registration, it showed that he had no affiliated, registered as far as to any party. Why? Come to find out, according to even in the Joe Biden press conference, as well as the FBI, there were videos pertaining to Jabbar, the suspect, that he began to have an quote unquote, let's say he had an affection for the ISIS. I'll say it that way, okay? He had an affection for them. So he started to go that route as far as in that world. And even after he ended up getting out of the military honorably discharged, he ended up from what appeared to be changing his belief, becoming a faith in Muslim, okay? Now, we already stated his employment, his financial difficulties, been divorced twice, has multiple kids, motives, FBI, they're still trying to find what, connect motives. And I mentioned to you guys the connection, critics, okay, not FBI just yet, but critics are trying to decipher was there a connection to the incident that happened December the 20th in Germany. But the main connection that FBI, they are trying to find out right now is, was there an association or connection with the Cybertruck incident that happened in Las Vegas yesterday at 8:40 a.m. Okay, and that is when, as I told you guys, Elon Musk, who is the quote-unquote founder of Tesla, and this is Elon Musk, who is the founder of Tesla, he stated, that there was no defect to his Cybertruck under Tesla, okay, as well as his quote-unquote group or quote-unquote organization known as PAC. They released a statement stating how good the Cybertruck is. In their words, they insinuate that the Cybertruck protected Donald Trump's hotel in Las Vegas from getting damaged, okay? Because this Cybertruck was placed in front of Donald Trump's hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada, okay? And because of that, 7 individuals ended up getting injured, and also one person who was actually in the Cybertruck was the one that passed away, okay? And when it comes down to this particular vehicle that you're looking at, it appears to have had things in it, okay? Let's just say, to make it appear like 4th of July devices, I'll say it that way. And it appears that it was done intentionally. And that is why and what the FBI, they're investigating, because last but not least, this Cybertruck is in connection with the Ford F-150 truck that was in the in the crime in New Orleans, because both the Cybertruck as well as the F-150 Ford truck are vehicles that are under the rental company Torah, okay? Under the rental company Torah. I want to make sure I highlight that, okay? And that is why the quote-unquote, one of the reasons the quote-unquote FBI as well as authorities, they are doing a quote-unquote thorough investigation on this, right? Because it's kind of odd that both of these incidents transpired on New Year's Day, and that both of these vehicles are under the same rental company, okay? Now, childhood background of this suspect, Jabbar, I did state that his childhood, everybody said he was well-spoken, he was very reserved, he was very engaging, all to be, they were just shocked to see that this was his outcome, okay? Last but not least, Elon Musk, he put out a statement, okay, saying that it's not my Cybertruck. Okay, my Cybertruck was not defective. And in fact, my Cybertruck was the one that protected Donald Trump's hotel from being damaged. Okay, that was, I'm just, reviewing, keeping it light, right? And Donald Trump, prior to the FBI, I guess they didn't talk to him or he didn't know, but he had put out, and it made a lot of Democrats upset. His response was that this is why, he said, when I said that the criminals coming in are far worse than the criminals we have in our country, that statement was constantly refuted by Democrats and fake news media, but it turned out to be true. The crime rate in our country is at a level that nobody has ever seen before. Now, this is this was part of the comment or the statement that he put out under his Truth Social account. His reaction to the incident that happened in New Orleans prior to him finding out that the suspect was not an quote-unquote undocumented immigrant, but he was actually a born citizen Army veteran that was from Texas, okay? Now, thank you guys for coming in. Thank you guys for coming in. And FBI, going back to the FBI, they did state that if anybody has had any correspondence with the CEO suspect, Jabbar, that you can reach out to them under this number. If you have had any connections with the suspect, Jabbar, you can call the FBI at 1-800-CALL-FBI. Okay, and that phone number was given in the press conference yesterday as well. And thank you guys for coming in. I appreciate the support. Thank you so much. Let me go into the comments. Okay, thank you so much, and shout out to everybody. Carly says, hit the like button, family. Yes. And Nicole says, I thought that was a coincidence. Aaron, don't. Shout out to Aaron. Thanks for the love, Aaron. I was trying to review. Tesla. Let me highlight that, what Vivian said. Let me highlight it. Tesla. Tesla, shout out to everyone, okay, for being patient with me. Shout out, and thank you guys for the comment. Thank you so much. Shout out to everyone. Thank you guys for coming in. Thank you for the likes. Going down, down, down. And the word of the day is Tesla. Tesla. And thank you guys for coming in. I appreciate it so much. So much for the support. You guys have made my day. Tisha says, Kanye was correct about a lot. why people called him. We find out he wasn't lying. And thank you guys for coming in. Northern Dame says he said that for what about his Cybertrucks? Jeez. Northern Dame says Elon is full of himself. Shout out to Northern Dame. Shout out to Northern Dame. Hey, John Thompson. John Thompson is giving a wave. Wave. I'll give a wave. Hey. Hey, John. Thank you so much, John Thompson, for coming in. Tisha says gas prices are what kept us good under Trump. We were energy dominant, pushing us to drive electric cars that may last for a 2-hour trip will not work. Give me my gas. Let me pin that. Give me my gas. Or in the words of, what is it, Donald Trump, he always says, drill, baby, drill. That's what Donald Trump says, drill, baby, drill. Reflex says, good point. Nobody really has the infrastructure to support the whole country having electric cars. It would rain the energy, and there isn't even enough charging stations. Absolutely right. Shout out to Reflex. Shout out to Reflex. Now, I'm going to be light because, like I said, people came for me in one live. Look, I don't want no Elon smoke. I don't want no Vivek smoke. Please don't come for me. And Tisha says, hit that like. Yes. And shout out for the lead in the comment. Steven says, I gotta pin it. Steven says, if you don't like her voice, turn the device you're using. Thank you so much, Steven. I appreciate it. Red Room says, this is nuts. Yes, it is. Wow. And thank you so much. Northern Dame says, darn, postponed for just a day after. Shake my head. Yes. And I agree, Northern Dame. When it comes down, and what Northern Dame is speaking about is when it comes down to the quote-unquote Sugar Bowl that they only postponed for just a 24-hour hold. And this is why I was speaking of, the Sugar Bowl, as well as the Super Bowl, as well as any event that comes to New Orleans, it brings money. That's with any state, with any event. When it comes to a specific city or any state, it brings money back to the city as well as the state. So they do not want to cancel it. That's what it appears. They don't want to cancel the Sugar Bowl between Notre Dame as well versus UGA, University of Georgia. If you know, you know. They don't want to cancel it because if they cancel it, they will lose millions, okay? Millions of dollars, okay? So that's why they say 24-hour hold. And I want to make sure me personally, even governor put himself out there and said he is going to the Sugar Bowl. He is not afraid. He did state that. He said he's not afraid. He welcomes anybody to go to the Sugar Bowl today. That is should be at 3 p.m. today. Okay? But remember what I said. I'm going to highlight that. People said, let me highlight it. You can see fans were seen leaving the city. Fans were seen leaving the city, okay? They were seen at New Orleans International Airport. Said, no, we do not have time for this mess. We'll support you watching it on TV, okay? So they were seen at New Orleans International Airport because they just feel uncomfortable by all this going on, right? And thank you guys for coming in. I think that's about it. Let me go back into the comments for you guys. Thank you guys for coming in so much, so much. Carly says, hit the like button. And hello, Sharice. Thank you so much, Sharice, for coming in. BP says, you're a blessing. So are you, BP. So is everybody in this live. Thank you so much, you guys. Thank you. I appreciate it. Wayne says, let me read it before I read it aloud. Wayne says, I've been waiting to get a CPAP machine for over a year at the Connecticut, VA and West Haven. It took me 6 months just to get an appointment, and I had a severe complex sleep apnea. Oh my goodness. My prayers goes out to you, Wayne. My prayers goes out to you. And this is what I was talking about when it comes down. We need to deal with in-house, right? Here in America. Reflex says they failed you, Wayne, but have hope. Things can be fixed. Exactly. Gotta pin that. Shout out to Reflex. Yes, things can be fixed. Don't give up, ladies and gentlemen, and don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Don't be like this guy. Don't be like him. Okay? If you end up like him, what good are you? Right? You have to keep moving forward. And that is why I'm going to move all the way up. My motivational quote, I always do it every live. My motivational quote for today is to what? Keep moving and keep believing. But be careful how you treat people, because you never know how you may need them in the future. That is why my quote is the quote. Okay, why I had that. You got to keep moving, right? You got to keep moving. You got to keep believing. You can't just give up. You can't fall for these distractions. And if you guys been following my platform, you know, even with politics, you have a lot of distractions. They give you a lot of fluff, right? You know, so you won't see the truth, right? And even in this live, I showed you, shout out to Senator John Kennedy. You know, he said, we don't want any excuses. Okay, we don't want any excuses from the federal government. We are going to be patient, okay, in accommodating the federal government to give and provide a full, thorough investigation on what transpired. But the people of America and the citizens of Louisiana, they need the truth and they need answers. So this is why I say, you know, don't fall for those distractions, right? So that's why I said, keep moving forward and keep moving, keep believing, right? Believe in yourself, right? Believe in yourself, because people prey on the weak. People manipulate the weak. And in this particular gentleman's case, okay, this particular gentleman's case who committed that heinous crime in New Orleans, he fell for the trap, as they say. All right, I'll say it that way. And shout out to I Am Jacob. I Am Jacob says, blessings, Politic Graham. Blessings. Yes, Tisha's coming in with some tea. Going down. Thank you so much, guys, for coming in. And I appreciate everyone for coming in, trying to read the comments. What was a lot of comments? Oh, I'm behind. Jesus. But I will go for Cannon. Shout out to Cannon. Cannon says, whoops. Sorry. Cannon says, push the thumbs up, folks. Shout out to Cannon Sanders. Thank you, Cannon, for coming in. AC, you know you're not. AC says, Hunter's going to the Sugar Bowl. You guys not right. You're not right. Leave Hunter alone. Leave Hunter Biden alone. But thank you guys for coming in. I appreciate the love. And shout out to Jerome. Jerome says hi. Mario says, speak more clearly. Thank you so much, Mario, for coming in. And thank you guys. I had a great live today. I did 3 hours live. Woo! Jesus. Thank you so much. I am so appreciative you guys did this. I'm telling you, we did this. Now, I will say this. My apologies for not coming in yesterday, but you guys see what has been transpiring. It was very unexcusable, right? And Hamdi, you be safe. Thank you for coming in. I do not like negativity. And thank you, Jerome. Shout out to Jerome. Jerome says, I like. Thank you. Shout out to Jerome. And thank you for the likes. Thank you. Shout out to Carly. Shout out to Cannon. Shout out to the Herbal Goddess. Shout out to everybody that came in. Shout out to Narendra. Shout out to I Am Jacob. Shout out to everybody that came into this live. Northern Dane, Tisha, Reflex. Shout out to Red Rooms, of course. I can't forget about Red Rooms. Come on now. And thank you guys for coming in. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the channel. If you wish, you can do like Carly did, donate a super chat sticker, as well as you can become a member, okay, to the platform. And when this live ends, if you can't do anything else, please replay a little bit. You can replay the video, the live stream. That does also help this platform as well. Carly says, amen indeed. Amen. Yes, thank you so much, Jerome. Jerome says, I subscribe. Thank you. And as always, I always read motivational quotes, the same quote every day to get our day started. Here on Eastern Time, it is 10:39 a.m. Right? 10:39 a.m. And it is the very next day after New Year's, okay? January the 2nd, right? And I apologize for not doing a live yesterday. I just was not feeling this negative energy that I read about what quote unquote Jabbar did. The suspect Jabbar did. I had to have a mental check and break for my well-being, right? For my mental check and well-being and safety, right? Clarity. Okay? And thank you guys for coming in. Now, when it comes down to these quotes that I always say after every live, if you know, you know. Rule number 1, tell yourself, eliminate the quote-unquote if. Focus on the present. Number 2, focus on self and not others. Number 3, tell yourself, I will learn something new every day. Number 4, tell yourself, I will not get upset at what I don't have control of. And last but not least, advocate for yourself. Speak up. Because if you don't speak up, who will speak up for you? And thank you guys so much for coming in. Thank you so much for the lives. I appreciate the likes. I appreciate it. Shout out to the super sticker. Shout out to everyone. Carly says, bye, love. See you next time. And please hit that notification button, please. And heads up, I may do another live today. I might. Okay, I might. Notice I said I might. Big might. Maybe. A little bit maybe. Slight maybe. Okay, don't hold your breath maybe. But hit that notification. Logan says, I'm very old. I already know everything. I can't learn anymore. Yes, Candace says, I may. And thank you guys for coming in. Please hit that like button. Please subscribe to the platform. Reflex says, awesome stream. Good word. And awesome to shout out to the mod squad, as well as everybody that has came into this live, into the chat. Because without you guys, there would be no politigram. Okay, there would not be a politigram. Okay, look, it would. Because that's one thing I want people to understand. With this particular platform, I gotta stand on this. This is a platform that welcomes all parties. Okay, all genders. We welcome everybody. This is a place where we come. This is a safe space where you speak your voice. Right? if you feel like your voice is unheard, this is the platform where you state your voice in the chat as long as it is respectful, right? Thank you guys for coming in. Much love to Carly. You guys have made my day, because I sure didn't feel like coming on for no 3 hours, but you guys made my day. Okay, and on that note, always have a peace of mind. Shout out to the herbal goddess. Always have a peace of mind and always be in peace. This is quote unquote Politic Graham. Bye. Bye, you guys. Bye, 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 bye.